Hey, electrical contractors. I'm Matt from ABB. Are rising costs and product delays keeping you up at night? We can help you contractor better. ABB's contractor resources are designed to help you increase productivity and profitability on your commercial construction projects. Check out Contractor Better today. Visit go.abb/contractorbetter.
At Amazon, we value unique skills and qualities on the job. We are currently hiring people of all abilities for a variety of hourly roles in our warehouses. We can offer a wide range of hiring accommodations, resources, and support from the application process to the first day on the job and beyond. You don't even need to interview to get a great job offer. So apply now and join a supportive community today. Visit amazon.com/pwdjobs. Amazon is an equal opportunity employer.
This is Jordan Grace, and you're listening to the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
BWB, this is One Nation Radio. You better get it right. Rich Latta, James Boyd came to give them life. The Blackest Wrestling Podcast has come to kick all ass and drop it 6 feet if they kicking trash. Word, let me welcome y'all to something different. And if you dig it, man, you should let some friends listen. We be getting it in, this on the regular dude. Ravish and flow, but this shit rude. See, James don't rap, so I had to break it down. The whole network, man, we coming for the crown. Raps in the columns, I keep them both covered. Making the beats too, so the listeners can bump it. Hit us with the rating, yeah, I'm saying it's a 5. Before you hit it, talk, bob your head side to side. It's One Nation Radio, and this is the beginning. It's Rich, and I'm here with James. It's time to listen to One Nation.
We got to unleash the power of the pyramid.
This is Mike Sempervive from WrestlingObserver.com. Check me out on Wrestling Observer Live every day. And also check out your boys, Rich and James, on One Nation Radio.
This is Kenny Omega. We're listening to One Nation Radio. Check it out, guys. These guys know what's up. Big Kenny Omega fans. That's all that counts to me. Goodbye and good night. Bang.
Hey, folks. Welcome to One Nation Radio. I'm James Boyd, and here with me I have Rich Latta. What's going on, man?
Not much, man. Just, coming back this week. We are back on our normal recording schedule.
Yeah.
I left town during the hurricane.
I almost did too.
Yeah. It apparently hit probably about, how far would you say Naples is from us? Like 100 miles
About 100
south?
miles south.
Yeah. 100 miles south. They got hit with a category 4. I believe there was parts of category 5s that was going on. It had some of the wind ended up getting up to category 5, but it wasn't sustained. It never sustained at 5. Yeah. Yeah, and it fucked some shit up down there. It looked bad. A lot of flooding going on, crazy winds, people, storm surge, sharks in the street.
Yeah.
So saw a lot of craziness. I'm just glad that I hate to say I'm glad it ain't come up here. It could have been even crazier.
Yeah, that's the thing that's weird when it comes to natural disasters, or especially hurricanes. It's it's going to make landfall somewhere. And for the quote unquote winners, when something's on a projected path and it alters or whatever else, at least you have people that are, know that it is heading your way, and it has been, and for about a week that it's heading your way, and you make your plans accordingly or whatever else. But then when it alters in a way that it does, a lot of people, especially here in Florida, when, this is a seasonal occurrence, right? Every late summer to early fall, these shits come by. So you look at that path and you're like, okay, I'm going to get the wind. I'm going to get tons of shit or whatever else, tropical storms. And it's interesting to see the weather difference when you're used to it as opposed to people otherwise. There are people that were they're not gravely, but there are people that were very concerned about our well-being. And it's yeah, bro, we've done this. We've done this. We've done a lot of this. We did a lot of this in 2004, did this and, other times throughout our lives. Being down here, and that's the thing that I always think about is when that thing shifts at the last second or whatever else, like other people that were used to this, we're used to hunkering down and all that kind of stuff, and like, you know, you don't think in your mind, like, you know, at this point in 2022 that like, oh, they're gonna be off by 100 miles,
right?
Like 100 miles on like a day before. Right.
And it's not easy for those people to get out of the place, especially like when they're not declaring state of emergencies or mandatory evacuations. And then everyone tries to leave at the same time. Gas goes quick. And then it's like, how the fuck am I going to get out of here? And I feel really like bad for the folks that had to deal with that, like, you know, 100 miles south. Cause it's like, man, don't nobody want that shit. You want that shit to just like miss everybody.
Right.
But, yeah, I went over to the other side of the state. I was over in Melbourne.
Yeah, so. You were what? You're in Melbourne. For those that don't know, Florida, like that's, if you ever heard of Daytona 500, like that's, you know, that's a little bit south of Daytona.
Yeah. So I went over there. That was cool. Didn't really get much on that side. I know our boy Zach was trying to outrun the storm, and it was following him. So,
you know what or not funny, like the wild thing was, like, I was set to leave. I was set to leave and get out of here. I left for Irma, and it's like, you know, it looked like it was going to hit us, and it was going to go into our bay. And if it goes to our bay, I live maybe a mile from water, maybe. Mm-hmm. So I was like, there's one thing. James Boyd will not die in a flood if he can help it. It just won't happen. It won't. So anyway, I had plans to go, and it kept, you know, because it was moving so slow that like the wind basically got it to more, instead of going to us, it kept going further south as it was heading north, and as it kept, you know, looked like it was going to miss, and then like it was heading towards just south of us in Bradenton and in Sarasota. I was like, okay, well, if it don't go into our bay, there's no reason for me to leave, because there's no storm surge. It'll you know, we'll probably be out of power for 2 days, but we've lived through that before during these types of things. That sucks, but it is what it is. But like, the only thing that I'm scared of is storm surge being flooded out. And because you can't whoop flooding.
Yeah.
You can't hunker down on flooding. Like, you just can't. So, so for me, once I saw that it wasn't going into our bay, I was like, okay, I'm staying. And as I was looking for places to go, like, I was like, all right, other side of the state makes some sense, but it's gonna end up on that side of the state. And I was like, you know what, if I'm gonna pack up, you know, some stuff to get out of here, I'm not going to some place where the power is definitely going to go out still. So for me, I was, I talked to Zach, and Zach had mentioned he went to Orlando, and I was like, you know what? I think that like power's gonna go out in Orlando regardless. I don't know. And I started thinking like, all right, I don't want to go to Kirby's. I don't want to go up to Atlanta with Alex. I don't want to go up to my uncle's in Chattanooga. I don't want to leave the state. Like, I want to, you know, leave. This is before I want to leave, and like, I don't want to leave the state. So like, I started thinking like, okay, based on where this is going, where can I stay in the state, not get ran out of state, and not have to, you know, drive 8 hours back. So I started thinking to myself, all right, like, I might just go, you know, all the way over to the other side of the state and drive down 95 to Miami or South Florida, you know, Fort Lauderdale, something like that. Obviously, you know, you're going to be driving a bunch of rain, but that's Florida, right? That's what the summer is. It's driving through a bunch of shitty rain and the thunderstorms. So, I was prepared to do that. And then as it changed forecast, I was like, all right, I ain't going to stay, or I don't have to leave. But Orlando for me was like, as it kept looking, I was like,
Orlando flooded out.
Yep. And then like the way as slow as the storm was going, and you're talking about all that rain, it was like, it's going to end up being kind of flooded. And then sure enough, unfortunately for Zach, like as it kept turning more and more in, like it was going straight to Orlando, and it was going super slow, and rain is just accumulating in that, you know, Orlando, Kissimmee, Buena Vista area where all Disney and all that shit is, and they got a lot of flood stuff too, so that sucked. Yeah, just Florida's a weird state, man. Like, because the only way out is up for the most part, right? Like, if you don't get out of here when a hurricane is coming, you're gonna have to go north.
And everybody's going the same way.
Depending on where, yep. And that's how traffic gets packed up on 75 and 95 or the turnpike to get out of here. So, like, luckily for us, we have like that one excuse, like, you know, like we can take 19.
Yeah.
Like when it gets, like, obviously when they, or the Sun, or the Parkway, Suncoast, whatever. So whenever they like pull the tolls, you just go north. You just go north on 19. There's way less traffic than 75, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, just, you know, for a lot of people, like, all around the state, like, we got lucky again. And that's the thing with this area. Like, this place, if it ever gets hit with one, it's going to be fucking terrible. But it keeps escaping because of, like, the position of where it is and all that kind of stuff. And we keep narrowly dodging. Like, this is the second time we've narrowly dodged one in, what, the last 6 years? 5 years?
Yeah.
5 years. So, yeah. But, you know, and a lot of people have that false sense of we're good because, you know, Tampa Bay area hasn't been hit one directly in 100 years. Like, okay, okay.
We always have this phrase where we talk about the bill being due. But man, I just hope it never comes. Like,
Same.
But yeah, man. Yeah, so we're good. Anybody was worried about us, we're good. So. You know, send your well wishes to the folks south of us.
Yeah.
So,
Fort Charlotte, Fort Myers.
Yeah,
like, it's bad. Like, looking at that stuff is bad.
Yep.
That easily could have been us. It was supposed to be us.
Right. And yeah, that would have been not good. Yeah. But you know, 5-star Grand Prix was this weekend. So James.
Okay. Let's see. Yes,
I
Rich.
guess it's time to hit the music.
Oh man. So Rich, you watched the Soul Show, right?
Yes, I finished it today.
Was this the best Stardom show you ever seen?
No.
Dream Queen was better?
I think so.
I think the two top matches on Dream Queen may have been better than the two top matches here. But I think top to bottom, this thing was just outstanding. I think that, like, I could be taught in the 6 matches getting 4 stars on this fucking card. I'm a little short on Shuri and Risa. But there were 5 matches I gave 4 stars to. I thought this show was just excellent. And, like, that's not to just say, like, those were just the only good match on this card. Like, there was the Mirai and Ida match that I gave it 3.5. There was the
that was awesome.
There was the Mina and Natsupoi match I gave 3.5 as well. Like, this thing, a 13 match card, 2 matches were just throwaways to keep the showtime, the runtime down, and this thing was just outstanding. Like, the only shows that are of this ilk this year that I've seen are Forbidden Door and Revolution. That's it. Like, if you want to talk about Clash at the Castle, I want to politely tell you, go fuck yourself. No. No. Absolutely not.
I think some of the matches that I enjoyed on the show were like I liked Kaguma and Utami a lot.
Right. And that's another 3.5 star match with
they got slayed on time.
Yep.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that besides the main event, the 2 matches I liked the most had like goofy finishes, or it was like they were draws or whatever. And I wasn't happy with that, but I figured that was the way they were going to make the points work.
But the one you're talking about, Double Count Out with Kamatani.
No.
Okay.
That one was even just like, oh, fuck you. Like, they just look stupid. But
it was such a bad finish. That was like the worst thing on the show. And it was unnecessary because like Julia had the tiebreaker over Kamatani anyway, so there was no reason to do it other than to, like, we obviously can't go 15 minutes with him. What are we gonna do to get out of it? And like for me, it was like, just fucking beat Ami. Who gives a shit? Right, but whatever. Right. Whatever.
Like the Julia and Suzu, like then like the Micah and Himeka match, like that shit was like
those matches. I love those matches.
Bro. They were awesome.
Yes.
But yeah, we might as well go. I don't know if you want to start bottom to the top or
let's go through it. So first match, and I'm watching this show, and like I know the tiebreaker scenarios, and I'm sorry y'all, like I couldn't get a show up to do a preview to give you the tiebreaker scenario. So like, because they didn't put the final fucking show up until Stardom and Showcase was like, they had 2 matches from the Grand Prix. So like the Sunday show was when they had it. And then like the show before that was like mostly basically got everything done except for 2 matches. Like that didn't get done until Wednesday night. That didn't get up until Wednesday night. So like I literally like watched Dynamite, was disappointed by Dynamite. And I was like, I will not have spent 2 hours not liking a wrestling not liking the wrestling I watch. I will throw on something that I know will entertain me. And I ended up watching the 924 show right after. So I basically, 4 hours straight or whatever else. And I'm so glad I watched that to get that Dynamite out of my had to get that Saraya out of my system. I had to. That was yikes. But anyway, so basically going through the final stretch, the Blue Block had 4 people that were still eligible on the final night. You had Julia with 15 points, and she had and you had Suzu and Kid and I want to say maybe it was Kamatani. I think it was maybe Kamatani if Kamatani had won and Julia lost, because and Kid had lost as well. So Mirai, Mayu, they were both eliminated by the part where like the second the Suzu and Kid match, the Suzu and Julia match starts, one of them is going to either have more points by either one of them, even if Mirai or Mayu won. So they were both eliminated mathematically or functionally. So and then on the red block, because there was only one draw. Like there were 7 people that were still eligible to still alive, and it was just chaos. It wasn't as bad as the D block in the G1 this year, where like literally every single person was still eligible out of the 6.
7-way tie.
Yeah, there was a doom scenario of a 7-way tie, but I'm just like, okay, so Tam can win if. Okay, or everybody basically had 14 points except for Risa, who had 13. And you looking at it, it's like, okay, you're looking at like the ultimate rock, paper, scissors, except it's like double. So like, for example, Tam beat Himeka and Micah, but lost to Azumi and Shuri and Utami. Shuri beat Tam and Azumi, but lost to, and also Himeka, but lost to Micah and Utami. And you see what I'm saying? Like, it was a bunch of that, right? Everybody had all these type of situations. Like, it could have been a 7-way tie, or could have potentially been like a 6-way tie. And then Risa had 13 points, and she had a path in to win too, if like the right people lost. So, I knew all the scenarios, and I'm going into it, and I'm like, okay, so, every Stardom show, they give you the rundown of the card before they go. So, before the show started, I think I talked to you about this in the preview, I thought, given the storyline implications in play, with the things leading, like, they booked a match for the final night, there was stuff playing into it before even going to, through the tournament of things that super interesting. So, like, obviously, you have Mayu and Kid in their whole storyline ever since Kid got put into Oedo Tai. Julia and Suzu, obviously the whole ice ribbon prominent stuff versus DDM all throughout the year. Mina and Natsupoi, given that they were in the final against in the final night last year against each other, and also now Natsupoi's in Cosmic Angels and is like the tag team champions with Tam, and like Mina has subtly let people know that like she feels a way about that, right? Like, you stole my tag team partner, right? That sort of thing. So that had interest in it as well. And obviously, and also Ida and Mirai, based off the match they had at Sumo Hall in March. So like you saw like the interesting storylines at play. And then you looked at the blue block. The red block, and obviously, you know, Saki, Tam, faction leaders of the coalition they got, that's interesting to an extent. Risa and Shuri, based off their Ice Ribbon Old Country beef in the match for the red belt they had earlier in the year. But outside of that, like, there was nothing really there as far as intrigue. So I was wondering, like, which was going on first, and then you look at the match placement. The match placement tells you, like, who's setting up who to be just immediately eliminated and sent off to the side, and what's going to be the intriguing matches. So for me, as I see this all being laid out, like, I see that they did Momo and Hazuki as the third match. I was like, bye Hazuki. So like, Momo getting her out of here. I was like, first thing I was like, Momo's getting her out of here. They're gonna have a great match. Momo's getting her out of here because obviously, like, Kid was still alive. Kid was only alive if Hazuki lost because Hazuki beat Momo or beat Kid. So it was like, okay. Also, Hazuki beat Julia. So it was like, what do you think is about to happen? Like, Julia's in the main event of this blue block. So like, you know, you see how this is headed. So and then in the red block, I was looking at it. I was like, okay, so kind of thinking about last year. They put the Tam and Utami match on at the basically as a summer main event spot because like it's red belt champion in their last match. So I was wondering how they're going to do this. So once I saw that Azumi was like, I think the second match in the block, Tam was third from last in the block. The Himeka Micah match, which Tam beat both of them, was in the in the semi-main event of the block. And then the main event of the block was Shuri and Risa, and Tam has the tiebreaker over Risa, but lost to Shuri. I was like, oh, Tam's winning. Tam's winning this block. I'm just watching this and I'm like, okay, like this is what's happening, right? So it's fine. So let's start from match one. You have Ida versus Mirai, and Ida and Mirai basically picked up where they left off at Sumo Hall, just clubbing and selling and just umph. And like, I love their matches. The only problem with their matches is they don't go. You want to go a little bit longer. I don't know if they'll ever get to a point, or maybe except for like on smaller pay-per-view type of settings or whatever else, where like they can go out there and have like a 10-minute match, that sort of thing.
Let them main event a New Blood show.
I mean, good point. They could do a New Blood type of thing, but they did the thing that. They did what they did at Sumo Hall. It was another super fun match. Just physical ass wrestling, another love letter to house wrestling, big power wrestlers beating the shit out of each other until they collapse. And Mirai, after beating Ito with, I think it was a hoverboard lock, she ends up slapping on a newer version of the hoverboard lock, where she basically like does hoverboard lock plus just sits on the top of Ida's head, and Ida just had to tap out. And it was another very good match start off. I ended up giving this match 3.5. I was like, wow, just all right. That's what a night start. This is where we start with the night, huh? Okay.
Mariah ends up with 15 points on the block. Not a bad debut for Mariah in the Grand Prix.
Right. I think officially because she also she beat Suzu. I think she officially or unofficially or not unofficially. I think she ended up finishing second in the block. Because she beat Mayu. She lost to Kid, but she finished with more points than Kid. I think she ended up 15. Unless she went to a draw with Kamatani. I think Kamatani finished with 14 because she had 2 draws. But yeah, I think, so either way, at worst, finish tied for second. But, so, yeah, they, as you mentioned, like, they're, like, if y'all don't like Mariah, I don't know what to tell you. So, next match after that, I believe it was
Mina.
Yes, Mina versus Natsupoi. And this match that you saw is basically a template of what Mina did all throughout this tournament. I think if I were to talk about people give grades out for people's tournaments based off expectations, I would have to give her no worse than like an A-. Like
James, I am hearing people call her Mina the Hitman Hart.
Yes. Because of the leg work and then the leg submissions. Yes,
look, and ain't nobody looked this good in pink and black since.
I'm just gonna move on. I have an answer, but I'm not gonna go with the answer because like I'm just not gonna do it. But
stylish wear, But she put the hurt on Natsupoi. I appreciate the Mina for that.
Yes, and Mina sold her ass. I'm sorry, and Natsupoi sold her ass off for her throughout the match. And like as she's chopping the tree, if you will, they set up to where Natsupoi gets seated on the top rope. Mina stops her and then does a dragon screw off of the ropes, and it slaps on Mina's new submission finish. Obviously not like some special thing. It's a figure 4 leg lock, and she'll bridge on it. Not bridge on it, but she'll ramp up on it. And that's how she beat Ami in the tournament. Which was one of the better matches of the tournament. Like her matches were like she was wrestling like Kid or Kamatani. It was her going to work on the legs, and this is like the new like well rounded out, even with the mid kicks and everything. Like she just has rounded out her game and improved. Like I think I've said to you about Himeka thing. I think her and Himeka this year have been like the most improved wrestlers in Stardom this year, bell to bell, and like Natsupoi sold this thing like death. Like she got like probably like 2 feet away from the ropes and just was like. She couldn't take it and just tapped. I thought this was excellent selling. Like this was Jericho level selling of a tap out. Like just excellent. And
Natsupoi doing her traditional nature there. Quitting on that figure 4 like she quit on Julia. Loved it.
So after the match, it's interesting to see. Tam was at ringside for the match, and obviously Natsupoi, backpacks on or piggybacks on Tam because you can't walk. And then Mina says something to Tam. I don't know what it was. We couldn't hear. It hasn't been translated, none of that. But obviously it was something along the lines of...
Use the context clues.
It's context clues. It's something along the lines of like, pull that Dolph Ziggler. It should have been me. But yeah. So, really good match. I give this...
I whooped your little girlfriend.
I whooped your little girlfriend. and like the part about it I love so much about it is like, remember, Mina don't play this shit with Tam, right? That's why I like it so much. Because like,
could get crazy at any moment,
right? And also, I don't know if you remember this when Tam and Kyrie had that special team up, that White Knights thing, and like at the press conference, Tam showed up for that time when they announced the name. She showed up and like took a picture of the team name White Knights. And like, there's a picture that I ended up saving on my phone because like the face that Mina's giving, like she's staring just like, don't play with me. like, don't you know I will cut you to Tam. And it's like, this face is like, you cheating on me with another tag team partner. And then sure enough, now you get this Natsupoi thing. It's like the drama that they can play with this over the, next few weeks, months, or whatever else. It'll be super interesting. Like if there is a, Mina and Unagi versus Tampoi tag team match, like it's gonna have all the drama in it at play. So post match, obviously, like they're not playing it like the full like Tam, Arisa, Mayu thing. They're playing it like Mina's not out of her mind and crazy jealous about it, but she does not appreciate like somebody like taking her spot next to Tam. But so after the match on Twitter, you see like Mina is like helping Natsupoi like ice up backstage. So I thought that was nice. And like, they're like, it hasn't, like the tension hasn't fully boiled over just yet. It will eventually, but not yet.
Look, and after I embarrass Natsupoi, I will shake her hand.
So, next match after this, Hazuki versus Momo. And
loved it.
Man, Hazuki, like she put it on Momo's ass. she put it on her. She beat the fuck out of Momo in a way that, like, I don't think I've ever seen in that whenever they've had matches. Like, it's normally just back and forth, and someone happens to win. Or like the Sumo Hall match they had in March, the second Sumo Hall match, or second Sumo Hall show they had in March, like, Momo just cheated at the end by bashing her head in with a chair. But Hazuki put it on Momo's ass, and I what was it, like, Michinoku driver, brainbuster, and then, like, you know, 1, 2, Nasco with the ref pull. Hadn't seen a ref pull in this whole tournament, I don't think. So it was a good usage there. And then, like, Momo then proceeds to cheat and ultimately ends up getting the win. Even with that, like, I thought, like, this was an overused tropey thing, like it can be done when you pull the ref, whatever else. It's been saved for a while, right. So it worked for me in a positive way. And obviously Momo was looking at the match that I was saying earlier, like, I just noted, like, Hazuki was just going to get lost, was going to catch this L. So, Momo beats Hazuki, and, that got Momo to 12 points. She went 6-6, but she beat Mayu, she beat Kid, she beat, Julia. Like, she beat, like, basically everybody that was in the contention for her. Like, she basically played the spoiler role. Like, she was obviously the much better version of what they did with Saki in the other block. Like, except with, like, real matches, as opposed to, like, someone they ass whooped and then, oh, got you with my move, pin you on the sneak. No, I don't want a title shot. You'll fucking crush me. No, thank you. So yeah.
Hold on, before we get off of Momo.
Oh no.
I'm checking. So she had 12 points to finish.
6-6.
Similar to Saki Kashima. James.
She's in a more loaded block.
Also
she's 12. In a far more loaded block.
I don't care. What? Like, I said, these two women, one of them has made peace with their lot in life. I bet you Saki Kashima is a lot happier about her 12 points than Momo is about her 12.
I mean, wouldn't you be if you were one of the best wrestlers in the world? Like,
sorry, Bill Kedge.
Look, I thought you were going to be like, and this continues with our ongoing theory.
Little head,
right? Big head equals push. She was a little on that poster. Wasn't gonna happen. Wasn't in the cards for her. Wasn't in the poster either. So, so next match, Kamitani versus Ami. It goes short. Did it even go 5 minutes? I don't know.
It went 8:21. I thought this finish was just stupid. And I was like, damn.
And as it's happening, you could tell it was happening, what was going on, too.
Right.
It wasn't even like, oh my God.
It
was like, oh, they're...
It's like, why is she carrying her around? What the fuck is this? And I'm like, no. And then, like probably like 3 seconds before it happens, you figure it out, like, oh, this is what they did.
As they kept going further and further away from her, I was like, oh, double count out. And in like last year's tournament, right? Kamitani had that double count out with Takumi, where it was just, they do these finishes with her. She's not good at double count out finishes. Not saying that she can't learn, not saying that there is a such thing as or that there's no such thing as a good double count out finish, because there are. She's not good at them, at least not yet. She's got to figure out how to make these good, because she hasn't figured it out yet. Like them on the ramp way up there, she's running back. Ami stops her for some fucking strange reason. It was bad. It was really bad. It was lame. But the good thing is this was the worst thing on the show, and this is in like the first hour of the show, so you can just move on past that.
Yep.
Yeah. So I don't even. What did I give that match? 2.5 stars.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
If that, like.
Yeah, if that. So then the wash the taste out of that out your mouth, you get Mayu versus Kid, and this is the best match I've seen them have against each other. And, like, this is their third straight Grand Prix against each other, or being in the same block. Like, I've given, I don't know, I think I gave last year's match in the final night, I think I gave that 3 3/4. It was so fast, it was so quick. But, like, their match that they had in Korakuen Hall in 2020, I gave that 4 stars. But anyway, like, it shows this is the evolution from, like, Kid since being an ONO tie to now, and like Mayu had to dig deeper in this match and pull out more stuff, and like Kid like survived longer and survived heavier stuff for longer compared to last year. And like I know that like we kind of have like these cores of blocks with like, in one block you had Tam, Utami, and Shuri that carried on from last year, and then Inazumi and Micah, and then this year like you have the same Julia, Kid, Mayu, Natspoi, like core, if you will. You're gonna have to switch some of that up. I don't care what they do next year. Mayu and Kid have to continue being in the same blocks with each other unless they're both going to be in a final one time and Kid beats her. But like, they have to be in the same block and rush each other, and then eventually like Kid's going to have to beat her on a final night of one of these or whatever else. Like, that's the progression of this. I don't know if that's next year. I don't know if that's 2 years from now, but like, they need to continue being in the same block and have one big match with each other like this every single year in the Grand Prix. I love their matches. I love how this has continued to go. And like, this match is excellent. And like, Mayu fucking took her head off. Kid was game for all of it. There were points where like she was going to win, but mostly it came down to like towards the end, it was last gas, kind of try to get get her on the mat, and couldn't survive, and she was done from there. And then like Mayu hit like a flash dragon suplex, and Kid, it was gross, and Kid kicked, and then she went to the top rope and hit her moonsault that she's won titles with, won the red belt with, and Kid kicked, and then she had to get her up and hit her with the 2-stage dragon suplex to beat her. Like, she keeps getting closer and closer and closer. And it's gonna happen over these next 2 years or so. But like, it'll be the big win that'll be like, this unlocks everything for Kid. It feels like, as a heel, like this is great. This is great.
Yeah,
I ended up giving this 4.25.
I was 4.25 as well on this. I think I could have taken the win here with Starlight Kid. Then I was like, well, if Tam hasn't even beaten Mayu yet, Starlight Kid's definitely not beating her yet. So, that's what went through my head after. I was like, oh, well, of course not. Like,
so for me, I thought Kid could have won too, because like Julia beat Kid and they were the same amount of points. So like, well, actually, I thought that Julia was just going to flat out beat Suzu, to be honest with you. So like, I thought they were like, okay, Suzu got beat, so just have Kid and Julia win. They both end up on the same points. Julia has a tiebreaker. Julia still goes through. But this ended up working out better narratively for like the next 6 months of Stardom. So whatever. They're better at booking than I am, right? But yeah. So I thought it was a great match, and like, you see Kid hasn't been this dejected since she lost the white belt match against Kamatani, where she's just like, I can't believe I can't fucking get over this fucking hurdle. I've done everything, but like, I still don't know. And like, I don't know, but like, even as a heel, like, I still feel that like, I want her to succeed so bad. Even while she's a fucking terrorist, it's amazing how good she is.
James Boy, pro terrorism.
Don't do this. Don't do this. Like, she's just a fucking menace, but like, she's so small. She's just like, but it's like all the shit she does, all these mind games, like when it comes down to bell rings, like she's just a little twerp. Like, she's 5'0", 4'11", and like, she's out here surviving, wrestling people that are way bigger than her all the time. Like, yeah, like she's gonna be running this place. Obviously, I think that Azumi's a better wrestler from bell to bell, but like, as far as like the shit when it comes to like being over, having a character, having storylines and rivalries with people, she's outside of she's already top of Stardom doing that. Like, outside of Tam and Julia on a consistent level, like, who does this better than her? I would have argued Shuri during her run last year. But at this point, like, she has all this stuff in place, and like, she's just really good at all this stuff, and she's only gonna get better in the ring, obviously. Yeah, she's gonna be running this place. Like, if I had to do MVP right now for 2021 Stardom, like, she'd be in the top 4. It'd be her, Shuri, Kamatani, well, top 5. I have to throw Julie and Tam in at this point, but she'd be in the top 5, and she's 21. So anyway, then you get the final match. Like, obviously, Kid got sent off. Hazuki got sent off. So it comes down to whoever wins this match between, or Suzu is 1 point behind Julia. She can beat Julia. She advances. Julia wins the block with a win or a tie. And they go down to the ring. And I was not expecting this. And at first, when it happened, I did not like this. People like this a lot more than me. So like, it works. It works narratively. I just didn't like the narrative. But whatever. Because the match was awesome. But
they did that tribute to Saya Kamatani before the match.
Yeah. So they both get down to the ring. Obviously they get patted down, all that kind of stuff, and then they both are crying, and I'm just like,
I liked it.
No, it worked. No, narratively it makes sense and works. It just, for me, it was like, I want to see these two beat the living shit out of each other, and if they want to cry after that, that's fine, whatever. When they're doing this before the match, I'm just like, huh?
She did originally roll up on her, like with that crying face and like that sadness, like Suzu when she first appeared,
right? So that's true. But then what happened? They wrestle each other. And they wrestle each other in Sumo Hall, and Julia hold her the whole entire trios or quattros match that was, and I was like, okay, so this isn't really a match that's that important because Julia just beat her ass like she's not on the level. And then we get this match, and it's like, this is the match they've been waiting for, and now they're like regretful, and they have these mixed emotions, and they're crying because they have these mixed emotions. And I was like, what mixed emotions? Y'all have hated each other for months. Just beat the shit out of each other. But either way, it does work. It's just a matter of opinion. My opinion is, didn't work for me. Just give me the match. And ultimately, they went in there, and once the bell rang, and they went and beat the crap out of each other. And it was awesome.
Sensational match. Like Suzu Suzuki was kicking out of shit. It was like, all right, man, what do we need to pull the gun like out on this? Like, and I was like shocked by the time, like, because I was just into the match, and then the bell rings for the draw, and I'm just like,
oh, you didn't? Okay, you didn't realize the time limit.
Fuck you! Like I was just pissed.
But this works out for the best because they have the draw. Suzu can challenge her eventually, and it's gonna be a better match. It's gonna go longer. They're gonna do even crazier shit than what this was in a 15-minute sprint. This match is great. Like, I give this that 4 1/3 thing. Like, if you gave this 4 1/2, I would not. I wouldn't say nothing. I end up stopping at 4 1/4 but like, really, if I give this a 4 1/3 rating, that's what I do. Like, this is one of the like best matches of the tournament.
Yeah, I probably would go 4.5 on this. It was like if you like, I can see why you're like matches if you like the emotion part of this definitely gets you the 4.5. Absolutely. Yeah. Like, you just see that hate that they have for each other, and just those big moves that they did. It all just played together really well.
Right. And I think I didn't like it in the moment of watching the match, but like, it absolutely works as far as narrative. Like, Suzu has like wanted this moment for count the days. I don't know whatever that was. It was in the fall of 2019 when Julia left, right? Left Irish Ribbon for Stardom, right? And like, Suzu shows up, and they've had their beef or whatever else, and like, Julia, like, when the moment comes and it's time to throw down, she's like regretful of a lot of her decisions and what she's done to Suzu. It absolutely works narratively. At the time, I just didn't like the choice of them doing that before the match for me, but that's just a me thing. Everybody else loves this, and like, I'm not even saying it's wrong. I just think I just didn't like the choice, right? Like, so. But the choice absolutely is something they could go. They that was absolutely on the table, and they took it, and people love this. So like, whatever. The match was awesome. I want to see them have another match, and they're going to have an awesome match whenever they do it again. So yeah, thumbs up for me. Or whatever else. So after the match, Julie, they're both basically collapsed upon on each other. They basically trained slaps as time expired. And like after the match, like Julia like tries to like I think she tried to give her a fist bump or stick a hand out to Suzu, and Suzu just like she gives a face like, I want to fucking forgive you and love you again so much, but I just can't do it right now. I'm still so fucking hurt. And I was like, oh, this is so good. This is so good. Oh, the drama.
Suzuki, they need to make a movie about Suzu Suzuki's life, just a life of misery.
I mean,
the Suzuki story.
When she is Stardom, she does not. Except for when she's beating people's ass, she does not smile. So I see why you feel like she's just like a fucking malcontent. so yeah, like I can see why you feel that way. Yeah,
there's a picture that I saved of her that is like I'm gonna use for some type of meme at some point.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna blow it up right here for the camera. Like.
Yeah, when she had to share, when she had to share the best match trophy with Kamatani.
Just furious, just hates life.
Oh man, but yeah, man, that was but that was great, and like, everybody wants it. Like they go ahead and just like after this next match, when y'all ever have it, however many months it is from now, like just go ahead and just get back together. Just go ahead and make up. That's what people want to see. Like They did a great job with all of this. Over the time from when they came in at the anniversary show this year to the matches they had at Sumo Hall, to this moment, like just great job of storytelling to get to the point of like you want to see people after you want to see them beat each other's ass, and they've already done that. They're going to do it again, and you want to see after they beat each ass, you want to see them hug each other and say they love each other and all that kind of stuff. So that was great. So then Julia advances and wins the block after the draw on 16 points. So then you start the red block, the Red Stars block. Kogo and Unagi. Kogo and Unagi, they pretty much have like the standard level of match that Kogo can have at this point. And then Unagi, who like completely got destroyed throughout this entire block. And I don't know if it was a byproduct of her numbers, her points and wins and losses going into flux after like once they had to put in Kogo. Like it seemed like a lot of the wins that Tekla probably would have won, like some of them got like outsourced to Mai Sakurai for some unknown reason instead of to Unagi. I don't know, but at the end. Unagi ends up beating Kogo with her, I forgot what she calls it, but it's basically a double underhook made in Japan. And they're giving this 2 3/4.
A lot of rumors about the eel possibly finishing up with Stardom. I
quite possibly, yeah.
Woke up to those. I was sad. So if the eel goes, I go.
Oh yeah. Where are you gonna watch Diana at?
Bitch, who knows?
How you gonna watch Just Tap Out?
Man, I'm sure there is some way to watch.
Oh, there are ways. Do you know how to do them right now?
Man, I would have to undertake some research on that how to continue. But apparently, Unagi is going to continue assessing the rest of the wrestling world.
Yeah, there's rumors. Like there are rumors that. It's a part. Okay, it could be a storyline because she lost so many points because she only won 2 matches that she went 2-10. That like she's basically putting herself in another trial series, right? Except it's other promotions. And keep in mind, like she's already wrestled in Diana. Like earlier this year, her and Mina had a tag match against Haruka Umasaki and I want to say it's Miyuki Takase, who were the tag champs in Diana earlier this year. Also, I think they also wrestled in Marvelous at some point in the last year or so. Like, so Mina and Unagi have done like these outsourcing matches outside of Stardom over the last year. So like she could, and she's not in tag league with Mina. She's going.
Yeah, she's not. Mina
in all caps Saki. Yeah, she's not on this particular tour, but she's wrestling elsewhere. So like, who knows? Like, there's speculation that she signed a 2-year deal, and obviously her deal will be coming up in like I believe her debut match was November 14th. because that was Korakuen Hall. That's the only reason I remember it. In 2020. So, and also that's when they immediately did Cosmic Angels, and then Mai's like, what? A subunit? Not on my watch. But yeah, like this could be the end of her, or this could be a part where like, you know, this is a little storyline thing to do. There's also some talk of like she might have said something on Twitter that pissed off Micah, and might have been some like out of kayfabe shit. So who knows? Who knows? We'll find out over time. Like where she lands, or where she her status.
I definitely enjoy watching the Eel over the years. Thought she fought from like she was a great baby face, very likable. Came out with the sword.
You want to eulogize her now?
Super entertaining. I'll just put it out there. Like she's definitely. If this is the end for her, like she's definitely a better wrestler than when she came in.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So who knows? Maybe she'll go back to Tokyo Joshi Pro as a main eventer now.
She would definitely be in that top 8. She would definitely be in the top 8 if she came back. Like if she came back, she could be international princess champion. Yeah. I still don't think she's as good as like someone like Miyu Watanabe, but like she's in that range at this point or she could be pushed in that range.
The Cody method, that's great. Speaking of that, there were rumors that Vince McMahon had no plan to put the belt on Cody, which is fucking hilarious.
Well, wasn't it like basically mentioned like once Cody or once like Roman became the double champion? It's like, well, yeah, like once that happened, like if had the belt still been on like who's the champion? Bobby Lashley before? When the Lashley, it went from Bobby, didn't it go from like,
He returned one day before they combined them shit. So like,
no. Well, hold on. What I mean is like, okay, so, but they knew they had him for, you know, like a month before or even more before he even showed up. So it's like, okay, so Lashley, Big E cash in, then Lashley win it off Big E back before Brock got it?
No, he won it back from Brock with Roman interfering. That's what that belt looked like, slime.
Okay, so like when it was the Raw belt before Roman got to it or whatever, Brock got to it, like it was looking like Cody would have got that fucking belt at that point. But then once they started doing like, oh, we're gonna put on both of them, it's like, I can see that kind of going out the window. I honestly could, because people were talking about, yeah, you know, fast track at the SummerSlam. I was like, they're not finna beat no Roman Reigns at SummerSlam, bitch. You kidding me? So anyway, back to let your hand.
We'll get to it. I have extensive thoughts on what will not be happening.
So next match, Azumi versus Saki. Azumi is, Azumi has wins over Utami. And keep in mind, Utami is in one of the next matches.
Azumi blew a 3-1 lead.
You stupid. She has wins over Tam. Tam's in a later match. And it was like, okay. And also she has a win. She had a win over Himeka, who was in the semi-main event of this particular block. So it was like, okay, same thing when I'm thinking about with Hazuki in the blue block earlier. It's like, bye Azumi. And also it was like, damn, today's her birthday. They finna give her that L on her birthday. And I remember weeks ago I was calling, it's like, they finna close the door on her with Saki. Saki's being every person that's still a contender for this block that's left. So like clearly they had to complete the set, had to get the final Infinity Stone for the gauntlet for Saki Kashima with this fucking crucifix pin. But before we get to that, Azumi comes out and she has new gear, and I don't know how the fuck this woman keeps doing it. Yes, this woman has had two of the best gears I've seen all year on ensembles, or whatever else this year. She debuts it here on her birthday, her 20th birthday. Can legally drink in Japan now. L. 40 seconds L. And it was she still made it interesting because like the match starts. Azumi hits Saki's flash pin on her. Saki escapes. Saki then hits Azumi Sushi on Azumi. Azumi kicks it 2.999, and then they get back up. I think there's like a head kick or something like that. I'm not sure, but like Saki quickly counters, gets her flash, her flash crucifix pin and gets the win over Azumi. And I think with like 44 seconds, I was like,
bro, I laughed out loud. Like,
yeah, you knew it was coming, and it happened anyway.
These like Kashima like short squash will never like fail to pop me. Like, bro, like that shit. Because
she's such a whipping geek.
Bro, that shit with Mayu might be on my top 10 Stardom matches this year, bitch.
Do you ever see the 2019 match with her and Hannah in the Grand Prix? So Hannah won the Grand Prix that year, right?
Yep.
Before the match, Hannah calls her like a green sprout string bean. I'm gonna beat her ass, blah, 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 blah. Match starts. Saki beat her in like 7 seconds. Saki beat her in like 7 seconds, and Hannah has his face like, and she's like, well, I guess all that cash shit I was talking is not gonna come to fruition because I lost. And she just took her ass to the back. And literally like for me, that was the start of this, and like it just has progressed and gotten not worse, better, depending on how you feel about this. Every single year we're like, Saki, and all she gotta do is hold on, play possum, and you can tell every time in the match when it's happening because like she gets hit with a big move, she kicks, and then someone goes to get her by her hair, and they do she does the dead weight thing where like she's dead, and they go to get her up, and they do it twice, and like, here it comes, and every time it's like, you could get beat right here. This is the end of the match. It's just always a thing. It's just, but anyway, Saki ends up with 12 points, 6-6, beat all the top contenders. She beat the red belt champion. She said that she does not want to challenge for the red belt. She beat, one half of the tag team champions. I don't think she's going to a tag match, with Tam and Natsupoi. She beat Azumi, the high-speed champion. I don't think she wants a high-speed belt match, even though I think that like she would actually have a good high-speed match challenge or whatever else. She never wants matches, or she just like, nah. This is what I do. I'm just here to fuck up everybody's day.
I love my lot in life.
So Azumi's off the table. Then you get Kaguma versus Utami. Utami. She has 14 points. She beat 3 of the 4 people that are still eligible at this point. She beat Himeka. Wait. I think, no, Utami have lost to Himeka and Micah. I'm not sure. But she beat Utami and she beat Tam. So, like, in the rock, paper, scissors thing is we will, like, another person on the table, and she's in there with Kaguma. And when I saw the draw for the final night, and I saw that it was her and Kaguma, I was like, why are they doing this? Like this, like I don't understand why they would do this, except for like unless she gets upset. But the second that I saw that like they're doing Kaguma and Utami like below the Tam and Saki match, I was like, oh, Kaguma finna get her. Kaguma finna get her. And they have the match. Match starts with Utami, and like she has figured out like a new. How do I say this? I think Troll Utami is like my favorite character of the Utami. Like, look, obviously the greatest Utami is Red Belt, World God Champion Utami, where she's having 4.25 matches at the worst every single month. But her doing the Utami Nakano thing when doing and all that shit is fucking hilarious. And when she did the fucking bear pose I
fucking howled.
It's fucking hilarious.
My God.
When she is out here trolling and mocking like the other wrestlers with their mannerism, it's the funniest fucking shit because I think it's because people think she's a stick in the mud, maybe.
Yeah, but like she's stoic as hell.
Yeah. So like when she does it, it just pops me every single time, and like this, she just proceeds to beat Kaguma's ass up and down.
Bro, this shit was excellent.
Yes. Fast and all that kind of stuff. And
head drops, big suplexes.
Yeah.
Like, bro, and then Kaguma wins.
Yes.
I'm like, what? At the moment of truth,
Utami gets her up and has her ass beat and is going for the Black Tiger bomb. And Kaguma escapes in one full motion, escapes and hits a code red. And it just devastates Utami. And just pins her 1, 2, 3, and Utami sold it as if she got hit by a truck. Like, If you go back and you watch this match or whatever else, watch how Utami sells this fucking move. Like, she sold it as if she got hit with some shit she never, like, as if she got blindsided completely. She was not expecting it. It reminds me of when Azumi beat her earlier with the Canadian Destroyer and then Azumi Sushi. It was like, I wasn't expecting this. I'm completely, like, just got flipped over and dumped on my head, and I'm just done. And I excellent seller, obviously, with Utami, and like, this is just another example of, like, she sold this like she got fucking destroyed. So the bear wins, and Utami's off the table.
I see y'all boys on Twitter talking about the bear too.
You showed me that shit. Yeah, whatever, man. That's y'all. Y'all, meaning you all, meaning not me. That's y'all.
Shout out to the bear.
So then next match, Tam versus Saki. Tam has to win at this point, and she has to hope that Risa can beat or draw with no, wait. Yeah. She has to hope that, like, Risa can either draw or beat Shuri, because Shuri has a tiebreaker over Tam. So pretty much simple Tam match that you've seen before, or not before, but like you've seen with like other big wrestlers, like overpowered, fights back, hits a bunch of bicycle knees, hit her with like 4 or 5 bicycle knees, and then got her up. I think she beat her with got her up with the violet screwdriver. Couldn't get her up at first, went for it the second time, and dropped her on her head and ended up getting the win. I'd be giving it 3.5.
This went way shorter than I thought it was going to go. I was like, oh, that's it. Yeah. All right, let's move along.
Yeah. So when Tam wins, that triggers because she beat. She has tiebreaker over Micah and Himeka, and they're all on 14. She wins. She gets 16. They're both eliminated. So it's just Micah and Himeka, former tag team champions. They just go out there and like, well, we're eliminated. Let's just go out here and just club the fuck out of each other. This match was awesome. Bro, they just went out there and Larry
Bro, Micah and Himeka forever remain the answer to what if Kane and The Undertaker were good. Good fucking God, I love this match.
Like, look, I call them the Bash Sisters. JML calls them the Regulators. Earlier this year, he had put up a video of them beating the fuck out of people while Warren G and Nate Dogg Regulate was playing, and I gotta say there was a lot of regulation going on in that ring. Look, if you enjoyed somehow, if you watched the Mirai and Ida stuff and enjoy that as much as I do, and then you watch this, you are in hog heaven. And I gotta say, I felt like a goddamn pork chop, because this shit was awesome, bro. They went out there and all they did was club each other. Literally, look, remember when I made the IWGP the Never Openweight Women's Championship? They say they should do that and have that division. This was the division of it at its finest.
The BMW?
Yes, yes. Big muscular women. And I remember I did that rant and all that kind of stuff. And at the end, I said, this is what I want. I want big, muscular women clubbing each other until they collapse. They literally did that. They beat each other with lariats. And then at the end, they both rocked each other in the jaw and they both doubled down. And it was a double knockout. I love this match. This is one of the rare occasions where there will be as y'all call it, a double move spot. And I actually fucking enjoyed it.
No, that's not what we call it.
You call it what y'all call it. I don't call it that. No. I don't refer to myself.
You know the name.
You're an asshole. Yes,
you know the name of it.
Yes. The people that work that contribute to Social Suplex, they call this spot, because it irks me so much, the James Boyd spot.
Indeed.
You see people give each other high kicks and go down, hit each other with the same right hand and both drop. That happens occasionally in real fighting, but it's very seldom and in between. So when people do this often in fake fighting, it's like, come the fuck on, man. They ride each other in the jaw and collapse, and it was double knockout. And I was like, fine.
Yeah.
At the end, they get up and they walk and they basically half hug each other. And they walk back up the ramp happy as could be, because they just beat the shit out of each other and they're best friends. I was like, look, man, I understand there's only been one 2-time tag team champion ever in Stardom. They need to be tag team champions again. I need this fucking 8-month run that they got hoed out of last time. I was mad. I was upset when they didn't get that long run last year. I want it. I need them out here beating everybody's ass.
Man, I am becoming such a big Himeka fan over the last couple matches I've seen of hers. It's just like, this is how a tall women's wrestler should wrestle.
Yes. And for me, when I watch like Joshi at this point, like, I want wrestlers to wrestle to their height and size. And that's the thing about like Joshi that I enjoy is like, it's cool if there was somebody that could do the kind of shit that Jack does, right? Or Keith Lee does, or whatever. Or Wardlow, any big man that does any flying, flip flying and flopping around or whatever else. That's cool. I'm not taking it for nothing. But there is something to be said about somebody that's just big and strong and tough and mean as fuck, and that's exactly how they wrestle. Oh, it's so good. It is so good. And these two did exactly that. And like I was just enjoying the hell out of this match. I love this match. I ended up giving this match 4. I saw some people give this 4.25. I'm not mad at them.
I would go 4.25 on this. I love this. Can't recommend it enough. Like, I like finishes a little whatever, but bro, before all that,
the thing that works about it is eventually we're gonna have another match at some point, next tournament, next year, whatever else, and people will remember this match because it happened on the final, and there was nothing at stake. The only thing that was at stake was
pride.
Yeah, and they beat the shit out of each other. It was awesome. Imagine if something was on the line. So then you end up getting Risa and Shuri. Tam beat Risa, so she's eliminated. And Shuri has a tiebreaker over Tam, so Shuri has to win to get the tiebreaker to get over because they're both on 14 points. But obviously Risa had the history from Ice Ribbon, even this year where they had that sprint match in the main event in the no DQ match that they had. And after that match, Shuri said, like, you ain't got to use all this shit. Next time you wrestle, you need to come correct and have a pure rules match. Not pure rules match like Ring of Honor, but like, let's have a pure regular rules match. And they went out there and they had the match, and they're just good together. And like, like Risa, she obviously wrestles to the level of the competition or the money she thinks is in the person or whatever else. Cause like, you can see it like when she's wrestling in this block, if she wrestles Tommy, or she wrestles Tam, or she wrestles Shuri, you get top effort. When she wrestles like Micah or Mecca or Azumi, she gets good effort. When she's wrestling like Kaguma or Saki or whatever else, you just get meme faces and like goof around stuff or whatever else. But except for when she murdered Unagi, but that was it. But she brought it, and they had a really good match. Like, obviously, you know what you're gonna get. You're gonna get a whole bunch of air raid crashes and big double knee drops and double knees from Risa. You're gonna get kicks and just arm bars and all that kind of stuff from Shuri. And at the end, I think by the second or third arm bar, Shuri goes to try to, lock in the double arm bar for, like, I think she calls it a Suzaku or whatever else. And, like, Risa basically muscles her up from her knee and then, like, drops her with, like, a mini short, like, air raid crash and then, like, traps her in an air raid crash pin and gets the win. I ended up giving this, I thought about giving this 4. I ended up going 3 3/4, but I could be talked into 4.
Yeah, I thought this was going to be better. I just couldn't get into it. I didn't know what the sure. Yeah, I just wasn't feeling it to a high level.
Yeah. So because of Risa getting the win and probably another rematch against Shuri, you end up getting Tam goes through. So much like last year, they did the interviews with the wrestlers backstage. They went to Julia first. I don't know what Julia said. Went to Tam next. Same thing. Don't know what they said. And then, keep in mind, they're in this new arena that was built for the 2020 Olympics. This was the first wrestling show to ever be held in this building. And like the shots of this building and like with the Jumbotron stuff they have now, these Titantrons they have, it looked fantastic. This whole show looked like they're fucking like
High
WrestleMania.
Production.
This is like their WrestleMania.
Highest production I've ever seen in Stardom. Loved it. This reminded me of like when I first started watching New Japan. I would see like the fucking gigantic, like gigantic screens in
super
the back,
long ramp,
all the fucking fireworks and everything like that. It was like the money has been put to work.
Yeah. So the reason why I bring this up is because like this year they started having like these 20-foot Titantron deals or whatever else. And then over time you see that like by the time you get to begin the first two shows, the first weekend of the Grand Prix, like they have 4 big deals, 4 of them that are big, and they put 2 of them together to make like a gigantic thing. And then like, with some of these pictures they take in Stardom, they look larger than life. So they brought out roughly the same setup from the opening weekend of the Grand Prix, except like the stage is bigger and it looks like there's an even bigger like put together screen. It looks gigantic. This is like some shit that would have been in like maybe not a WrestleMania, but definitely like a Wrestle Kingdom or like a Noah Budokan Hall, right? So Julia's music hits, and all of a sudden, the big ass 20x40 Titantron opens, parts in the middle, and she's on like a hydraulic thing, that suspension thing, that weighed like 15 feet in the air. She comes down, I'm like, and I literally sat in my seat and I was like, what?
Bro, I saw this shit.
For this shit here.
I was like, bro, it's like she's God Almighty coming down to fight right here.
Yes.
What is this?
So I was like, holy shit. So she does her entrance and it's awesome. And she walks down. And then Tam music hits. She does the same entrance, like just shit parts, comes down, and like I think the difference is like I think for Tam's they gave her like a spotlight deal, whatever else in the background you can see. But she comes down, both of them just and I'm just like, before all year, like we mentioned last week, we were talking about somebody. I mentioned like Julie and Tam are just racing to the top. They're racing to the top. Whoever is winning this G1, or not G1, well, it's the G1 now at this point, but whoever wins the Grand Prix is going to Sumo Hall. It is like taking the belt off Shuri, and they're going to be like the top champion and may even all the shit for the next nine months to a year or whatever else. And that is what it is. And then the one that lost this shit was like probably going to be the next champion after that. And to see like, I don't know if it's so much as just me being right as fuck, but like, but the point was like, for me, it's like they, in a way, like this reminded me of like 98 Rock and Triple H, where it's like they first start each other. They have this great feud beginning of a rivalry, and they're both like wrestling for the secondary title. And then, like, they're both rising in stock, and they're both, at least from the Rock perspective, obviously, the Triple H caught up in a different way later, but, like, they both then become, like, they both get to the top of the company, like, for the main belt in, like, the 2000s, you know what I'm saying? And it's just, like, from 2020 to now, like, you look at the main narratives of this company, and you look at, like, who are the top stars and how they're presented, and you look at like the posters and all this kind of stuff, and it's like Mayu's Tanahashi. She's the old, ambassador ace type figure, but this is her second year in a row where she's been eliminated before the final night, right? Utami, you saw, I forgot to mention this, after Utami lost to Kaguma, out comes Natsuko Tora, and she comes back, and it's going to be Natsuko Tora versus Utami, and whatever.
Apparently, Natsuko Tora did not hit the lottery on her time away.
Unfortunately, yes.
And
Yeah, but back to my point before I lose steam is like, you look at what they've done with these two from 2020 to here, where like, and then going into 2023 and maybe even 24 is like, don't fucking kid yourselves, as this company has done nothing but grown around these two. These are the two top stars of this company. They've been presented that way. They've carried themselves that way. They've been not champions all year long. Yet you look at, if you're going to do MVP voting, they will both be in the top 4. Like Julia was the MVP of this tournament. Tam was in a lesser block, but like it was time to turn it on in the last 2 weeks of the tournament. She turned it on and had great matches. Like, and then she had this fucking final. Like, don't kid yourselves. These two are the ones. And for those that like started in 2020 when Julia, or 2019, late 2019 when Julia came in and they did all that fucking hating and like it was slow to start with her getting over, and then by the time that she won the Cinderella tournament, she had got over, to Tam always being like this person that was always super fucking over, but was never presented as somebody that was deserving of being top star. Well, you look at what happened where like they got put together and like they've had the defining rivalry of this promotion of the last 3 years, and they go out here and they do this. From a domestic perspective, if you want to say Utami and Shuri, go at it. They do not draw like Julia and Tam. They just don't. So, like, they go out here and they have this match, and like, and they're both, or they go out there and they come down for it, and they're both literally coming down from, descending upon from the fucking heavens above everybody else that are rulers over all these survey. Whoever's winning this fucking match is going to go to the main event of the biggest show of the year and win the title, presumably. This is awesome. And then the match was even better than all of that. So, I thought this was the second best match in Stardom this year. I thought this match was incredible. I could give you a rundown of all of this. I wrote it down. I'm just not going to do it. The gist of this was, by the time they end up outside the ring, they're trying to drop each other on their head on the ramp. Tam escapes, getting jumped on her head. Takes out Julia, runs up the ramp like fucking Muto, runs back and hits a fucking bicycle knee. They end up back in the ring, and then they just proceed to drop each other in their head and kick out at one, over and over and over and over and over.
4 consecutive 1-count kickouts.
It was fucking awesome. Then they end up with there's also a slap battle. They end up opposite corners, similar to, and all of this. There's also a bunch of callbacks to their third and fourth match, where like Tam in the white belt match in October 2020 was trying to tiger suplex Julia off of the second rope, could never do it, and Julia escaped it by rearing her head back and headbutting Tam in the back of the head, and Tam just crumpled and died. And then Tam finally is like, same spot, gets shoot headbutted and falls down. She fires up, gets back up there, and just tiger suplexes Julia right on the base of her neck. Horrifying. Julia gets back up, and ends up hitting her butterfly superplex. There was just so much shit in this match. I don't know how you possibly fit this much violence and crazy shit in 17 minutes, but they managed to do it. You mentioned them kicking out a head drop, basically head drop, neck drop stuff at one,
stolen
4 times
finishers.
in a row. Stolen each other's finishes. Like, there were, by the time they got past all that stuff and the kicks and the slaps, whatever else, they end up in opposite corners. They run toward each other. Tam ducks a right from Julia. And Tam go for a head kick. Julia ducks, grabs Tam's bad arm. Earlier in the match, she worked on Tam's bad arm. Tam's been selling this arm since the Mirai tag team match a month or two ago. And gets her in pump handle position and hits her with a pump handle backdrop driver that just drops Tam on the back of her fucking neck. Or not back of her neck, I'm sorry. The back of her head. It was gross and disgusting. Tam fired up from there. And basically, like, from there, Julia hits like a Kamagoye knee. No, I'm sorry. Then you get all of the 4 count, 1 count stuff. Tam hits a glorious driver on. Tam hits a glorious driver on Julia. Julia kicks at 1. Tam goes for a violet screwdriver. Julia wiggles free. She hits Tam's own violent screwdriver on Tam. Tam kicks at 1. Julia then hits a Kamigoye, like a single arm Kamigoye, and then gets her up and hits a glorious driver. Tam kicks at 2, and then Julia gets her up and hits the Akira Hokuto Northern Lights bomb and drops her for 3. This match is excellent. Like, this match could have made it, like you said, their last match, their hair match. That could have made it anything in the world. This also could have made it anything in the world. 4 3/4. This was fucking awesome.
I'm right there with you. 4 3/4. Julia gets her revenge on all these evil people, and done it all. Gets to the place where presumably it was always meant for her. If you know, this could have been last year, and this could have been Julia's had she not been injured.
A little bit different because last year Meltzer reported the plan was she was going to win and then lose to Julia, and then Shuri was going to win early in like March, and then they were probably going to do this match. Julia was going to probably win the belt at the same time, but like she would have won last year's Grand Prix, not this year's Grand Prix. She would have gotten the title match against Utami, and Utami would have beat her. That's basically what Meltzer reported last year when she went down.
Yeah, big win for her. They showed. I didn't catch the post match on this.
Oh my god, the post match
photos. I saw some photos going around. It was just like Tam just utter dejection, just looking up at Julia, and it was weird. Like when I think about their rivalry and. Like this wasn't like they did a lot of things to each other, but I felt like this was like this wasn't as heated on the hatred scale.
It was
maybe the last match was.
Yeah,
right. But this was like, all right, these are two women that live in the same neighborhood that will attend similar schools, that will be there from middle school to high school to college. They will always be contemporaries of each other. And once every year they have a big fight against each other. Like, oh, they had the big fight in middle school and everybody in high school hears about it. And eventually they have the big fight in high school. And then like, this was the big high school fight or whatever, where it was like, I don't like you, but it's well established, but we just got to do it again. And they'll do it again one day. And I'm sure it'll be awesome. I feel like Julia's earmarked for the red belt at this point now.
Yeah. So the post match, they're both just wiped out and devastated and laid out on the floor next to each other.
Twitter very happy about Julia winning, by the way. Also, too, I didn't see any of the the fuck Julia stuff. Like it seems like Julia's really hot right now.
Well, once she's shoved it in your face that you've been fucking wrong for 2 straight years, maybe you eventually learn. So I mean, I've seen a couple complaints here and there about it being too predictable, and I'm just like, tough fucking shit. I'm sorry. Like, what the fuck? Oh my god, we can't put the belt on 85 Hogan. You're an asshole. So anyway, So yeah, like after the match, they're both just completely devastated and wiped out from the hell they just unleashed on each other. Like remember Nolan Richardson in Arkansas, 40 Minutes of Hell?
Yes.
Like when Tam and Julia get together at this point now, it is 19 to 20 minutes of hell. Like they're just so fucking great together, man. It's unbelievable. So they're just wiped down, destroyed, and like Tam, like basically is laid out in like white, or basically crawls herself over to like the corner or against, and like hangs against the bottom rope and is watching like Julia taking everything, right? So they have everybody walk to the back. They have everybody walk off to the back. So that's so similar to like earlier in the show when Natsupoi got beat and Tam has to piggyback her off. Tam piggybacks with Natsupoi to the back. So then they do the award, and Julia walks up the ramp or whatever else, and then they do the award, the awards for like, fighting spirit, best tournament, best matches for each block or whatever else. This year's best match for each block were just Cap.
I was gonna say, I heard there was Cap being unloaded.
Bro. Okay, so Blue Block's best match was Utami versus not Utami. It was Kamatani versus Suzu. I don't think that's either one of theirs third or second best match in this tournament. Like, I think that obviously the Suzu match you saw with Julia, I think Suzu had a better match with who was it? I just thought about this earlier. Momo. Like, that match one of the best matches of the tournament. And then like Kamatani had a better match with Julia, and she had a better match with Kid. Like, that match she had with Kid in night 2 was basically like that white belt match, except with none of the bad selling that she was doing. And it was like a 14-minute sprint. Like, so nah, like that was both of their third best matches in that in the block. So that was cap. And then the best match from the red block was the match we just saw earlier was Micah and Himeka, and I was like, oh, okay, y'all. Like, the best, I don't think it was the best match. I would say it's up there in that block, because that block wasn't as loaded as the blue block was this year. But, like, I would say that I would put Tam versus Risa against that match. I would put Tam versus Shuri against that match. I will put, obviously the best match in that block was night 2, Shuri versus Utami. Like, I gave that match 4.5. So, yeah, like, it was way up there, but no, like, they were just like, let's just give these people, like, you know, participation trophies or whatever else. So those 4 come down. Then they bring, then they do, like, best technique. That went to Mirai. Fighting Spirit, Azumi. Azumi has won like the previous 3 years best technique. I don't know. Maybe because, you know, how much technique can you show in 7 minutes? But and then they bring out the runner up, wins the trophy. Tam comes down. She gets like a semi-standing ovation coming down. And by that point in time, like, they have the arm or Daichi the ref before she had walked off, like, they put the ice pack on her arm and everything. And so she comes down, and then Julia comes out. They give her a semi-standing ovation as well. So, they take pictures, all that kind of stuff. So everybody goes to leave and everything else. And then the last 2 in the ring after the awards are handed out and presented, like, Tam says something to Julia. We can't hear what it was. I don't think they're ever translated. I don't think audio ever picked it up. But whatever Tam said to Julia made Julia cry. And then Tam everybody like walks, you know, instead of taking the ramp, like, they, you know, walk off, you know, like as if you lost, like walk off into like the, you know, the guts of the arena, whatever else. Tam takes like the top ramp, the regular entrance ramp on the way back, gets another semi-standing ovation, and then like gets to the top of the ramp, bows, and looks up at Julia, and then like you get this far shot of them staring at each other, and then you see and then you see like Julia's face, you see Julia's crying, and it's like, this ain't fucking over. This is their fucking company. I'm sorry for those that have doubted these two over the last however many years, whatever else. I'm sorry. Like, these two are the 2 top stars in this company. This company has done nothing but grown exponentially since they started locking up. I'm sorry, y'all. Whoever is doubting Velcage, I'm sorry. You're deep in denial in the mud. You're wrong. You're wrong as fuck. So, like, Julia, then I haven't seen any translations of it. Obviously, there's been some talk of plagiarism from Stardom World, and Dana, who was doing instant translations. Dana's cooled off on that. So, you know, in the next couple of days, we'll get the translation of whatever Julia said when she got the robe and the crown, but the confetti flew, and like this. On a show pay-per-view with Stardom, like, they look as big as anybody outside of WWE. The presentation, the stage set design, all that kind of stuff. Now, you know, even before the hydraulic thing, like, there was a pay-per-view earlier this year where like they did the Kota Ibushi Rey Mysterio trapdoor box spring thing for Azumi. Like, this company, like, the the sheer amount of talent, the sheer amount of will and go to of them wanting to put on great matches from match one to match however. I know all this stuff, yet I still get super impressed by this fucking company. Like, I always think, like, they're great, and then they always find a way to be better than my expectations for them are. Like, you know, I'm always telling you all the time, like, when I talk to other people that aren't into Stardom and don't watch Stardom, I'm like, hey, man, you are missing out, and, like, I'm always like, I hope that y'all watch it, but at the same time, I'm like, did I oversell this and that they're this good or whatever else? No, I didn't oversell this. They fucking smoked the G1 this year, top to bottom.
I mean, I think we told them that in preview, like that shit was going to happen.
Right, but then they went out there and they did it. It's like, it's not one thing where it's like,
just listen to us.
It's one thing where it's like, if they're just slightly better, they smoke them. They smoked them this year. Like, their top level matches, I'm not saying there's anything like an Ospreay, Shingo, Ospreay, Naito, Ospreay, Okada on these cards. I'm not saying that. But if you say, what's the fourth best match on the G1 card this year? What's the fourth best match on, like, half of these Grand Prix shows? They killed them. So, yeah, man, like, super impressed. Great tournament. Great final. One of the best matches of the year worldwide. One of the best matches in Stardom history. I don't know what else to say. I think it's one of the three best shows of the year. Revolution and AEW Revolution and Forbidden Door. I'd probably still put Forbidden Door number one. But yeah, just an incredible show. And like, if you haven't watched Stardom or whatever else, and people ask me this stuff, well, when the time to get into it? This show right fucking here. This show right here.
Just start. Like,
you don't need none of the backstory. If you want to see just cool wrestling, they got it. If you want to know more about that stuff, hit me up. I'll tell you. Or just listen to this thing. We've laid out a pretty good amount of that stuff. How long are we talking about on the show? We did an hour and a half of this already. Yeah. Talking about this one show. So, killer show. What's next? Any last thoughts before we move on?
I think that if people aren't paying attention to Stardom yet, they probably should, because there's going to be like New Japan integration going on. And I just want to let everybody know, like, if they send the right people from Stardom, they are not coming to fuck around. And I'd heard different things, like there are wrestlers on the New Japan roster like not particularly thrilled they'll be sharing the cards with women, so like older veteran wrestlers.
I bet they won't like it when they go out there and they have better matches in them too.
It will be it's a lot going on, so you'll see like the competitive nature within Stardom, and I'm sure they're going to want to represent Stardom a lot, because I feel like a lot of Stardom fans have been itching to really start, like, they gotten the Noahs out of here, gotten the Dragon Gates out of here. Like it's ludicrous. They want the number one spot.
So Rich, after I made the joke about Saki, like she got all the top contenders out of there, and she, Zumi was the last Infinity Stone. Zach Porter, who we talked about earlier, he sent me a meme. And I just forwarded you. Can you put that on the screen for the people to see? And this is how we go in. Like, if this gets clipped or whatever else, this is how we go in this one. So, Can you put it on the screen for people to see?
It is on the Summer Jam screen.
Yes. Saki has got them all. She got them all.
Yep. Get crucifixed. Quickly.
So what's next?
So let me pull this back.
Think you know Amazon? Think again. Did you know you can get a seasonal warehouse job offer today? You don't even need to interview. That means you can make extra cash before the holidays. You can even pick your own payday. And seasonal jobs can lead to full-time, regular employment. You'll be amazed by what you can get as an Amazon warehouse associate. To learn more about all the benefits of working a seasonal job at Amazon, go to amazon.com/hourly. Amazon is proud to be an equal opportunity employer.
Hey, it's me, your Uncle Cooper. Sorry to interrupt your music. I do love music, especially when it's set at a reasonable volume. You know, music is really only as good as your speakers. The same is true for minivans. A minivan is only as good as the tires it sits on. And the button on the screen there, it agrees with me. If you click on it, it'll bring you to all the Cooper minivan tires that'll make your minivan a really good minivan. Go with the Coopers! Cooper!
So AEW Dynamite this week. So I didn't watch the show live. I don't know if that was. I think it might have been better for me.
It was
that
definitely
way.
for the better for you because people gave you some real low expectation. It probably wasn't as bad as the reality when you watch it. Yeah,
indeed. I thought we were coming into some like all-time train wreck of a show. I only really didn't like the women's segment. I thought everything else was like it was just a standard, show. It was like one of those, 7 out of 10s. But then you add that fucking. That disaster, which I'll go into full detail on. It's not only that segment was so bad, not only strictly for what it was,
very bad.
It was bad for what it represented.
It was bad for what it was. It was bad for what it was paying tribute to as well, because like people are forgetting the steps that were made and missed during that when they started that shit up in WWE in 2015.
And also, like, we'll get to it. We'll get to it later, but So they opened up Jericho Appreciation Society, purple suits. Love those clowns. These guys come out and basically they came out without Hager. The ring has flowers in it, balloons. Luigi Primo is there tossing pizza. Angelo Parker wanted everybody to appreciate them. Called Philly Losers, but tonight he's going to give them something to celebrate. The Ocho, Daddy Magic said he put in the call for Luigi Primo. He's going to, he got cheered a little bit. Said, he basically, going to give him the pizza from New York, which is the New York Philly thing. And Jay says the fans don't get pizza, but they do get the greatest ROH champion of all time, and Chris Jericho. Jericho calls himself the most honorable man and most watched champion in ROH history. That's pretty funny. The whole time that he had this thing, I was thinking, can we get rid of this old dusty Ring of Honor belt yet? Please. Why are we still doing this?
Yeah, but, so you don't like the belt design?
No. Okay. That shit don't look fit for a major promotion or
at
this rate.
Ain't.
I know it's a zombie promotion, right? I know it's a zombie promotion, but yeah, I would prefer a big gold style belt. But he said he calls it.
Wait. Is there any chance that they could like play like the Ring of Honor belt was platinum?
Ain't no way. That does not match the eyebrows on Birdman's women.
Oh wow! On the platinum football field. Now that is cap.
He basically called it the Ring of Jericho. Said tonight Bandito's going to get his rematch that he was never granted. And he put over Daniel Garcia, gave him a purple bucket hat as a surprise. Garcia is in disbelief when he sees this. He threw the hat down and he went over and punched Luigi Primo and said he's had enough of this shit. And Jericho was like, you might want to stop right there and think about what you're going to say. And be careful. You might make the wrong decision. Garcia basically says, he didn't dream of doing this, essentially. And Jericho asked him, is he a sports entertainer or a pro wrestler? Before he could answer, Danielson came out with Regal. And Danielson said he respects Garcia's decision to stay with Jazz or the Blackpool Combat Club. Jericho told Garcia basically told him that Garcia belongs to him and he listens to me. He does what I say and all this other stuff. And then Garcia, cuts a little promo, basically asks what would be entertaining. And he's talking about Luigi Primo and would team with Danielson be entertaining and all this stuff. And they basically lay a challenge out to Guevara and Jericho for next week at the anniversary show against Garcia. So we'll see where that happens. But Menard basically got in Danielson's face, said he should drop him right now. Danielson said, good news, he's allowed to wrestle because he got a match cleared, and it sounds like he wants to fight. And then it was like a impromptu match. Long segment, entertaining segment, fun segment.
I thought it was a great segment. Obviously, I know you have you do not like when AEW has long talking segments. I don't mind them as long as they're like as good as these. Like the ones they've done have been very good, like especially with Jericho. So I don't mind them. And obviously he has him and Danielson. They have the experience of doing these because that's how you got to open up Raw, son. But yeah, like I thought it was really good. Like I feel the crowd like week after week with all this stuff. Like they're more and more invested in like Garcia, and they really, really want to see them tag together or be in, together in like BCC. So I still think like Garcia like fucks over Danielson at the end.
I was gonna say I felt like a small bit of Halloween Havoc 95 going on here, where somebody tags in and puts the boots to somebody, but I don't know. We'll see. But Menard and Danielson had a match. It was all right. Wasn't anything great or anything. This was just a standard kind of match, and Claudio comes out there, carries out Parker, and man, I saw that shit and I was like, that shit must be hell trying to fight against if you ever have a shoot fight against Claudio Castagnoli.
That's not what you said. Look, that's not what you messaged me. That's not what you said.
Big Claw will push you on his shoulder, and it ain't nothing you can do. You just gotta deal with it, like essentially, until he puts you down.
Bro, I literally laughed out loud when you called that man Claude. Like, what?
So Regal on commentary the whole time, he's saying a lot of uncomfortable lines to Excalibur. I think we got to put Mr. Regal on a list.
Oh man,
we got to make sure we had to pull Regal into the office. But after that, we got a brief video package basically running down Robinson and Moxley. They do some creative editing to make it look like Robinson beat Moxley, even though he pinned Will Ospreay. It was in a 4-way. He does again. This is a world title eliminator match. He'll earn a title shot in the process if he can win. We got a recap video of MJF and Yuta. They showed it from last week, but we were going to get MJF, but Wheeler stormed out, and I felt like he was doing Jon Moxley cosplay here. He was trying to get really angry. Then he basically said he doesn't have a problem with him and his lackey did, but he thrown down Schiavone crosses the line. Yuta told MJF that he hides behind factions in the mic, but he can't hang with him in the ring. He basically ran down all the cheap heat insults that MJF would do. So let's just skip all that shit and get to it. MJF shows up in a Mets jersey, and Yuta's from Philly. He said, the place you can't afford to place to live, you can't afford to live in New York. He basically got some heat on Schiavone, and MJF put over Yuta a little bit, and he said he did have to spank him on the mic last week. He basically did the insults that Yuta did himself, and Yuta cut him off and said, if you don't want to fight, he'll leave him in a pool of blood on Broad Street.
Yeah, his voice cracked when he said that now, and MJF still sold it. I was like, these are the reps you kind of need. I'm interested in, I think it's it's weird. I think Yuta has some good lines. I just think he doesn't have the presence on the mic yet, obviously. And I like what they're doing with him and MJF. I just wonder, when do you think, is the match announced or?
Yeah, it's next week.
Okay, so that's good. The match is gonna be really good.
Yeah.
So yeah, MJF's back in the ring.
And I heard people comparing like this, ironically, to like a Flair Steamboat situation from like the late 70s. So, you know, Ricky Steamboat was never going to outclass Ric Flair on the microphone, in the way that Wheeler Yuta is not going to outclass MJF. But I find the parallels between Flair and Steamboat and that portion of their careers to be apt with MJF and Wheeler Yuta should it go that direction. So interested in seeing how this match plays out. So the Guns came out and they were wearing dress shoes with no socks. He said, you know, he's going to wrestle him next week in the Dump of Washington. MJF said the fans don't deserve to hear his catchphrase. And, you know, they just kind of ended the segment from there. Had a quick match announcement with Darby Allin and Jay Lethal. So happy about Darby getting a singles match here. I think it's time to turn the heat back up on this gentleman because I've been asking for it all year. Where's my dog at? So
outside of the Jeff Hardy match, is that like his biggest singles match of the year? Yeah, yes. Lots of tags. Well, you know, the Sammy match where they basically like wrestled at half of their effort level.
They also had, I think they did a Sammy Guevara Darby Allin main event on Dynamite early in the year.
Did they?
For the TNT belt.
I can't believe I can't remember that. All right.
Yeah. Then we had Jon Moxley and Juice Robinson, and man, we have never in the group chat spent so much time talking about a match that was like, at worst,
that was not great and not awful either.
Yeah, it was just like I couldn't believe how long we were talking about it. But I
mean, I think what contributed to it was like the fact where you watched the show later, because it ended up being like it turned into a 2 or 3 day thing as opposed to just as the show was going on, you move on, or basically to the next day.
I was looking at the ratings on Cage Match for this show. I was like, 5.11. What the fuck? Did someone lose a limb? Like what happened in this match? And I was like, it's not that fucking bad. So
yeah. I think I would ultimately fell on 3 stars, so that'd be a 6 on Cage Match. And it is also weird because like given what some of the stuff is going on Cage Match, like that
yes, should we speak about this?
A lot of inflation going on. So
something's going on.
So yeah, like. And it just happened. I don't know if this is coincidence or not, but like ever since like word came out that like Tony Khan like pays attention to Cage Match, seemingly like or I think he mentioned it in like a thing like he checks on Cage Match scores, whatever else. Like and then ever since then, like ever since like Triple H took over, it seems like. And keep in mind, this is kind of always a thing, in like especially in like NXT UK, but like these like scores for the WWE shows like. A lot of these matches are getting overrated on Cage Match, and you're starting to see like a lot of people throwing like not wild, but like are overrated matches in a way that like wasn't happening, and it's also not like in line with like the level of matches going on in WWE. So nothing's really. They have better matches now, but not like they're just like
this didn't.
It's weird. It's weird, right? And also a lot of these longer matches that are. Sorry?
I said this didn't turn into New Japan in like the mid 2010s.
And also like a lot of these matches just have like bad finish at the end too. It's like, okay, I don't know about all that. Like, so for example, like if Roman had just beat McIntyre clean without the Solo Sikoa nonsense, like that would probably be like something in the low 8s. But because they had the garbage finish, went in its own Cage Match at like a 7-7 or 7-8 or whatever else, right? At least last I checked, right? With 100+ votes. So, but you're starting to see like a lot of like weird, like, and it's not even like, is that, but like also show ratings are also worse. Like, cause show ratings are always, more volatile than actual like, matches. But like, you're starting to see like, I think last week's Raw was rated as like the 4th best Raw of all time. Yeah. And like I feel like if the 4th best Raw of all time happened, like I would have heard about it from enough word of mouth to where I would have been like, I would have went out of my way to watch that show. I have that show on my hard drive, but like I did not.
We have friends that are like ardent WWE fans that didn't say a word about it.
Right.
So I'm like,
didn't hear anything
going on here.
Like Floyd said it was a good show. And like Floyd watches everything in America.
He was
Floyd
like,
watches anything in America.
He was like, it's an okay show. And I would probably be apt to trust Floyd.
but yeah, my point is like, and then also you have like Finichel, Chad Matthews that we talked to, Jeremy LaBoy, for example. Like, there are people in our lives that still watch WWE. And then like also looking at like, you know, people like Tanya, who actually watches Raw, right? Tanya watches Raw because she's like, this is a better show than SmackDown, even with 3 hours. I did not see her say anything along those lines. Like, obviously, the small sample size is like 5-6 people, but these people with opinions I still trust. To an extent of like the quality of saying like, this is a great show, this is a really good show, or I enjoyed this show at least. I didn't see anything out the normal of like Raw has been better. Raw has been putting on more consistently good shows, even with 3 hours. But 4th best Raw of all, great of all.
Yeah,
like,
and in the same turn, like the ratings like for like the AEW events have been like, they've been like trying to keep their head above water in certain cases, or like stuff like this Moxley and Juice match was just getting bombed to hell, and it's like, what's going on here? Like, and then, you know, I always felt like Cage Match was a place that like had formulas in place. That's what I always felt good about it, like to ensure like no one was like doing like stupid shit. And also
that thing that you were hearing from, I think it was Stringer like was it like last year or in the last 2 years, they were like, we're starting to see like certain accounts that are just, you know, being anti or pro whatever tribe between AEW and WWE right now as far as their votes. Like, they're giving matches, they're like, a great match, and they're giving them shit 6s and 5s or whatever else, and and on the other side you get the same, a match that's also like basically like an 8, and they're giving that shit like 9s and 10s in certain accounts, right? Depending on whichever side that, you know, their biases rely on. And they're like, we're just gonna throw those people out. We're going to get people out. We're going to clean some of this stuff up. And it did work at first, but now it's like...
It's only so long, like, you know, until that whole system just, like, the more people that sign up, they ain't going to be able to police everybody.
Right. And then, like, I don't know if you saw the cage match for the Stardom show we just covered.
Yes, 9.50, I think, on the show rating, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. Now, keep in mind, like, I think top to bottom, this might be the best Stardom show I've ever seen, right? And I think it's one of the 3 best shows of the year. But, like, that is a rating that you give to, like, tribute shows for people that have died.
Or, like Dominion 2018.
Yeah, like, those are the ratings you give to, like, the Brody Lee tribute Dynamite, or, like, the Hannah tribute shows, or, like you mentioned, Dominion 2018 Dominion, or Russell, or the 2020 through 2015 through 20 Dominions. That's those
Wrestle
are like
Kingdoms.
Those,
yeah.
Or Wrestle Kingdoms. Yeah, like that's what that number is, and like I think it's an all-time show. I don't think it's mid-9s. That's too high. That's too high. Like,
there's a lot going on.
Did you see the rating for Tam Julia?
I think it is 9. It's
9.3 last I checked.
Yep, 9.37.
Now, we both gave it 3 3/4, right?
Or 4 3/4, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We both gave it 4 3/4. So, like, there are 4 3/4 star matches that get, like, you know, low to mid 9s on Cage Match. When that first thing came in, it was...
I think it was like 9.5 or something like that.
It was 9.5. It was like 9.5 something, Rich. And I was like, no. I love this match. I love those two. No.
Yeah, that
it is not one of the 40 greatest matches of all time. No.
Have you seen the FTR Aussie Open score right now?
I heard about it. What was it? It was something outrageous.
I believe people are rating it as like the best tag team match of all time or something like that right now. And I think only
has the
people that are live that have seen it. The show is not out yet, right?
Really?
But I believe
it wasn't on like Fight or nothing like that?
It is not on Fight.
That's weird.
Not yet. But I am looking for day 1 of the New Japan. Okay. It has a 9.67 rating on 41 votes.
First off, why is it even eligible to be voted on? It hasn't made tape or been broadcast, if you will. If it's not on New Japan World, was it on New Japan pay-per-view? Like those, like the Taichi Taika, like the Taichi.
Not yet.
Taka,
it hasn't made tape yet.
Despy Mania
hasn't made tape yet.
So how can you even vote for it then? Why is it even eligible to be voted on?
I don't know. I guess the people that are voting on it attended it there, but I'm like, that live bump is a lot. Like you know,
Rich, what other event is actually like? Okay, so like for New Japan events, because they have their schedule out so far in advance. Like when you look at you go to New Japan's page on Cage Match, and you go to events, you can see you can even see up to as far as and the same thing for WWE, right? Like you can go to and see you can click on WrestleMania in in LA next year, right? You can click on Wrestle Kingdom. I'm pretty sure you can click on Wrestle Kingdom 17 right now. You can't vote on nothing.
Yeah, and it's like we have 41. We have 41 people that were actually in attendance.
Even if they were in attendance, why are they allowed to be able to vote right now? That makes no sense. It hasn't made people haven't been able to see
it's
it.
like it's essentially a tape show, right?
Tape show, live show, whatever else. If it's not available for people to see, how are you eligible to vote for it? I don't care if you're in the building. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Like I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's a great match. Maybe it's an all-time match.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what if maybe it was the greatest tag match of all time? I don't know. How the fuck can you vote on it? No one's ever seen. You know what I'm saying? That don't make no sense. So, and then I saw that somebody that's a contributor to Cage Match was complaining about the Stardom show, and the Tam Julia thing was like, this is why we don't open up the voting for people that watch the Stardom thing live. And I'm like, but y'all do that for New Japan. People be able to vote on New Japan hours after, couple hours after that.
I remember that 9.7 that was on that Tetsuya Naito and Okada match. I remember that.
Right. So it's like, I don't know why you're picking it. Maybe it's because there's so many less people that watch it or whatever else. It is turns into a tribe thing. And the only people that want to vote on people that throw tens at it, and it ends up looking like Tokyo Joshi Pro's Cage Match, where you're like, bro, y'all had two mid to low 4-star matches and a bunch of 3 3/4 star matches. How the hell is this the one of the 50 best shows in pro wrestling ever? No, I'm sorry. I really enjoy watching watching Wrestle Princess 3 this year, or whatever it was that was in Sumo Hall this year. No. But anyway, yeah, I just
it's a lot, man.
It's a lot. It's weird. Some weird things or some unnormal things are going on at Cage Match, or whatever else, and they'll fix it. They like their credibility.
Yeah.
Their credibility as far as being, I don't mean whatever, as far as being a reliable thing where you can go see match ratings and then oh, this has a 9. If you throw on a 9 on Cage Match, you know that shit's great.
Right.
Period. I look. And really the thing is, if you see anything in the high 7s, you're going to watch something that's going to be fun normally. Right. So, I don't know what to say. I don't know. It's weird, but either they'll fix it or somebody will come up with something else.
Yep.
I just don't think it'll be Grapple, because Grapple, they're ratings Nazis. They look, oh, it's the 5th best match of the year. What's the rating on it? 4.4? Huh?
Yeah. That one swings a little bit too far the other way.
Yeah.
Me, but, yeah. So I don't know. They'll keep taking
it wasn't it was great, but it wasn't Kabashi Masawa. You asshole. Yeah, man, that was great, but it wasn't exactly Liger versus Sasuke.
It's just it's a lot of strange timing with all this stuff, which is more than the ratings being out of whack. It's just I wonder if this is the cause. I would be interested to see the vote totals on an average, the last 4 weeks as compared to a year ago or something like that.
Yeah. And I think the thing for me is it just seems much when Kenny Omega is talking about Will Ospreay, it seems of late, in the last month or so, I've noticed there's been an inflation of just tens being thrown out in large swaths across all things. Even that Julia Tam match we were just talking about, whereas I think the second best match Stardom this year, one of the very best matches of the year, and I'm just 9.36 is that's too high for what a cage match normally in a normal year. If you go back a year ago, right? That is going to be that might top out at 9 point. Hell, do you think it was better than the hair match?
No.
The hair match is like 9.18, I think. You know what I'm saying? Like, and if you want to say it's equal to it, I'm not going to argue. I would disagree, but I'm not going to argue it. So, like, I think it'd be like a 9-1 or something in a year ago. So it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird what's going on, and it's just like of the last like 6 weeks, month or so.
Yeah, FTR, Bald, Dax Harwood after that match jumped on the mic and he said, Tony, book us too, brother. We work for you still.
Keep in mind, Dax had 2 matches in the last 4 episodes of Dynamite.
Yeah, I'm sure he wants to be booked as a tag team.
I mentioned that to Floyd. Floyd was like, what about as a tag team? And I was like, well, do you want the singles run or do you want the tag run? Because he's not Kenny Omega. He's not getting both. Is he Hangman Page? Can he get? Does he get? I'm
James,
sorry, he's not getting both. Nick Jackson didn't get both.
I saw this clip, and man, I feel like we were ahead of the curve in saying people were going to get tired of this FTR shit because boy, they cooked this man like a rare steak on the timeline the other week. I think people were tired of it. You're supposed to be the good guys, like people not trying to like. It
was one thing when they were heels, like for basically, from 2016 to 2000 up until just like last few months, right, to this year, right? They've been heels for like 6 years, so it's so like, okay, we get it. That's part of your shtick or whatever else.
They blowing through it already.
To find out, like, nah, that's just his get down on Twitter. Just to do this, and it's like, this isn't endearing.
Yeah, and then you think about all these babyface tag teams that have picked up steam over this time. That if you put FTR in there with them, it ain't gonna be good for FTR if they like cut off the Acclaim right now. And
I wouldn't want that. I would stay away from that match.
Like,
if I were FTR and if I was FTR Tony Khan, I was trying to keep FTR's babyface team, I keep them far away. Defend one of them 3 titles.
Right. And that's been my point of contention with it. I'm like, yo, why can't they just have them defend those titles more often? Like they haven't been.
You think politics keeps, obviously not Ring of Honor because the politics Ring of Honor is Tony Khan's politics or whatever else. But do you, as far as New Japan or AAA, what do you think? You think they're holding that up by any chance? Because there's got to be a possibility to at least discuss or mention.
I guess like I don't know why they wouldn't be on the AAA shows at least, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they've gone to Mexico at least once, right? But I just don't.
What show was it? Was it the last Triplemania show?
It was one early in the year. They did a ladder match with the Lucha Bros that was not good. But going like at least like defend the belts in AEW, like you can whip up like a makeshift tag team to challenge for them. Whether it's the ROH belts or the AAA belts, even the IWGP belts.
And you can't say they wouldn't do that because like Omega defended the Mega belt in AEW. So.
Yep, and the I just if I don't know, maybe if Dax wasn't like on a mission to finish 11th and most outstanding, like maybe they would get booked more for tag team matches. I don't know. But it's I don't know, man. Like FTR is like the whining just is grating at this point, and it's like, do you have a point? Should you probably be booked more based on how hot you were earlier in the year? Yes, you should be booked more, FTR. But like, yo, how many of y'all are gonna do these disgruntled like gimmicks? Like, it's too many of y'all. Y'all fucking it up. Like, just stop. Like, you know what? Like, save that shit for MJF, who's the main eventer.
I didn't even think about that in the context of like since the CM Punk and the locker room thing or whatever else. I didn't even think about that. I was just thinking of the context of just leaving it to just them and like every promotion or brand they've been on, they do this. And it's like, are y'all just miserable and y'all just never be happy? Like, are y'all Larry Brown? I mean, because if that's the case, fine. But like, at least have self-awareness to know that like you're a babyface and like this is not endearing and this does not help your job. This does not help you at the goal you're trying to accomplish.
Yep. So Moxley and Robinson, it was an okay match. I thought they took some big bumps, or at least Juice was taking some big bumps on the outside of the ring. I like the flash finish here, and I don't really have too much more for you on that. I
got even less. I like.
So
I remember you told me what you gave that match. I was like, ain't no way. Like I was like when I watched that match. And I don't know if it's because, like, you know, I'm off, you know, I'm off of, like, binge watching in one whole week, basically one half of a week of G1, and it was even in the middle. Yeah, it was in the middle of
the show.
It was in the middle of like, okay, so Grand Prix started July 30th, right? The first weekend, 30th and 31st. The G1 ended on, mid-August. And remember, I watched all of that, in a week, right? And then continued the Grand Prix. So maybe it was just like, I ain't got no time for no average ass match. I just don't. So I was like, look, man, this might be good. I don't know. Maybe it was that, and I just wasn't feeling that way. But I remember when you said it, you thought it was like 3.5 hours. Like, nah, no. We call a timeout right now. We gotta pull this shit to the side of the road. And we gotta discuss this and go through this one. Because I was like, I don't know how you came to this conclusion. Maybe it's so many people shitting on this, so you felt they needed to have to bump it up. I don't know, but nah, just no. Like this shit was not better than Ida and Mariah. It was not.
But after the match, Hangman came out. Crowd popped for Hangman, so that was cool. Yep. Had a stare down with Mox. Mox was bleeding. They were so close. I thought they were going to kiss. But MJF interrupted them, said that they're fighting to lose. Whoever is champ will lose to the generational talent. Then all of a sudden, Wheeler Yuta rose up behind him and whooped his ass in the suite. Yeah, and the crowd popped for this huge.
Yeah, it gave me flashbacks to the Jericho. Was that West Virginia they were in? Jericho and Cody when they ended up fighting to the back and then the Dippin' Dots, whatever else. So yeah, I thought it made me think of that, and it's like, oh wow, that was 2019. It's 2022. Like they could do this every year for all I care, but like they have saved that. They have protected that. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the Yuta and them fighting, and then like I don't know if this was like a brutal, what do you call it? A unfortunate accident or mistake, botch, what do you want to call it? They were fighting in the crowd, and then like MJF went over, and like he couldn't get back up, and then like Yuta is like, I gotta stay on him, and then he went over too, and they both were just fighting upside down. Basically, it looked really good. Funny. It looked really good. Yeah.
So we got a small Bandito video package. And then after that, they showed Saraya making her.
Had to get people off of them.
Or Saraya making
video
her.
Package. Here's a video package so y'all can start complaining.
Yeah, shut the fuck up. Like,
yeah.
So Saraya, they showed her debut. She comes out and cuts a promo that is a very bad segment. In execution, a very bad segment as an idea, a very bad segment for what it represents. And it's like the triple whammy of, and by this point, I'm sure you guys are all familiar with it. Says she's damaged, not broken. She'll create change in the women's division as she is the revolution. Saraya said AEW's her house, and she wants all the ladies to come out. So they all come out like a group, like ready for a science project, including the champion, including people from AEW Dark, including coaches, and people also on the roster.
Luckily, Jade avoided that, right?
Yes, luckily lots of people avoided this.
Yeah. Can you imagine if Rio had walked out for that? It'd be like, wait a second, Rio's backstage? What the fuck?
Yeah.
How come you don't use her?
Yeah. So Saraya said, this is our champion, Toni Storm, which I was brutally offended when she said this, because I was like, Toni Storm has had better matches this year than you've ever had in your life. of course, we know who the champion is. She's had multiple pay-per-view matches in this promotion and is on TV every single week. We are not stupid. Stop this. And then after that, she basically says she's the best AEW women's champion they've ever had. The crowd boos because they're like, no, this is an affront.
The second best.
This is an affront to the history of the promotion.
Yep.
Just like the entire like the revolution aspect of this thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, say what you want about the AEW's women's division. We've covered it top to bottom, up and down, left to right. They have never presented the women as strictly sex objects and something to be rebelled against as far as like not treating them like they're human, essentially. Like that's never applied here. And for her to reduce it to that and then essentially stopwatch this shit after, when she's tweeting out about they got more than 5 minutes and we're going to do a lumberjack match and this is historic and revolutionary, is fucking ridiculous on every level. This is every big star bullshit TNA promo that was ever cut, imported right here. And it's like the arrogance that she came in with, that it sounds like, not only the aloofness of it, just to not be aware. And Britt basically cuts her off in a promo. Thank God a real promo was out here to save this shit. But even Britt couldn't like undo the shit Saraya was doing. She basically said she's put her neck on the line for AEW, or she's bled for this company. Crowd kind of goes with her a little bit. She said, unlike Saraya, her neck is strong enough to handle it. Crowd pops on that,
which is a line where it's like makes people think, wait, she hasn't made no contact. She still continues making contact. Is she cleared? Is she going to wrestle? What's going on? So, it was a nice dig, but it makes you ask more questions as well. Yeah.
Saraya basically said, how are you going to make fun of my name? And then she said, but your name, Britt, rhymes with shit.
Yeah.
And I just roll my eyes completely on this.
But the woman got the cuss. But the woman got the cuss though, Rich.
Oh yeah, love it. Lothario Negro said this turned Britt babyface for him. And then while Britt was, the crowd was chanting for Jamie Hayter, Britt worked Hayter in, said, lucky y'all ain't fighting Jamie Hayter, essentially. Just pro on her toes. And then after that, he said, they're going to set up the Storm and Deeb match. But all of a sudden, Saraya's booking shit on screen because she talked to Tony Khan for whatever reason. And this is going to be a lumberjack match. But this entire thing was a disaster. And it's like, I had a conversation with Josh and it was just he pointed out something very astute. And then it was like the AEW women's division needs to send people on excursions. That's what they need to do. That's the answer.
Rich, we've been saying that shit for years.
I'm not finished.
Okay.
But and the reason why is because they don't have a single woman on the roster that can do all three things, which is the work, the look, and then on the mic. Some of them have 2 out of 3, but most of them don't have more than 1 out of 3. And it's just some of it is in the presentation, but I think you got to look at the talent too. You got to invest in the talent. You got to send them off to get them better. But this fucking segment, it burn the tape, burn the masters. I don't ever want to have them do this shit again. And if this is, and I don't want to go scorched earth on Saraya and just completely dismiss her as a non-entity. She could have just had a bad week, bad idea, whatever. Maybe she comes
mostly just a bad idea. It's not like her. It's not like her execution from promo sucked. It's just that this is not what we're looking for. It is derivative. It is derivative of something that ultimately didn't actually work. So can I go now?
Sure.
Okay, so I said this in the live while I was watching it. So as they're doing this roll call for everybody, And I'm just like, okay, so they brought out the student body, they brought out everybody for all this, and I'm just like, this reminds me so much of when, like, I think it was Stephanie that brought out, like, they basically did Team Bella, they did Nikki and Brie and Alicia Fox for Team Bella versus, like, bringing up Sasha Banks, and put her in there with Tamina and Naomi. They were Team Bad, and then they had Paige, and they put Becky and Charlotte with them, and they were originally going to be called a sorority or the Submission Sorority, and then, like, they had to scrap that name and change it to something else because, like, that was like a name that was like some porn site or something like that, whatever. And, like, it was literally 9 people. 3 of them it was 9 people. They're basically showing you 3 brand new factions. And, like, 3 of them are people that you had not seen before on the main roster. Well, you saw Charlotte in, like, a squash match at that point, like, she got squashed by Natalya on a random Raw, like, months before. But, like, there were these 3 fresh faces, and, like, you immediately put them in 3 factions, and it's like, how are you going to individually get all of them over? Because there's only a certain amount of time to do this, because they're in a set, like, there's only a lot of amount of time for that they're giving the women, and you're going to put them and just basically say, y'all 3, you're going to try to get over 3 factions with 3 different people. You're basically trying to get 9 people over all at once, right? That's never a good idea fundamentally. So then, like, they just had the matches over and over and over. Charlotte, by happenstance, never lost a pay-per-view, won the belt, and, like, it did not work. Sasha struggled. Becky struggled. The Bella thing was, I don't know what happened with that or whatever else, but basically, like, it took them months to get away from that, and then by the time they got to 2016, Charlotte turns on Becky. And also, like, during that time, you had Paige turned on Charlotte and Becky by talking about David Flair or whatever else.
Yeah.
That was also awful.
Reed
but
Flair.
That was a Reed. I'm sorry, Reed. But that's besides the point. Like, the part that fixed the Women's Revolution launch was Charlotte turns on Becky, and then they have the three-way match at WrestleMania for the women's title. That's what changed. That's what switched all of that, because it wasn't going great at all. And, like, when you do basically the roll call, you basically present all the women. They're all basically on a heel side in a babyface side, and there's like 4 on one side or 5 on one side and 4 or 5 on the other side. It's just like, oh my God, they're doing the same thing over again, except now Saraya is Stephanie, as opposed to actually being a player on the field. And I'm just like, you completely forgot why this thing didn't work fundamentally the first time, and now you're doing it now in 2022 as opposed to 2015. You ain't learned shit, and now it's the worst time to do it. So I was like, oh, this is not gonna go well. This is not gonna go well. So yeah,
and
just
the other part too is, like, it's supposed to be this groundbreaking thing that they have a lumberjack match. Like, I'm sorry, like, no, man, like we're past that. Like we're not like we've had, like, there have been, like, I'm not gonna say we're past kneeling, right? I'm not gonna say that.
I was laughing at it. I was gonna let it slide because obviously it's not what you meant, and obviously your point makes sense. Jay-Z's didn't, so I was gonna let it slide. But I was laughing at, like, we're past that.
Like, I'm sorry. Like, St. Patrick's Day Slam this year was Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa in the main event in a cage, and it did a number, and it was a big moment, and it felt like pro wrestling, and it wasn't like this fucking charity. Like, no, like, this flies in the face of, like, of all the great work Riho did. It flies in the face of Nyla Rose's personality. It flies in the face of Hikaru Shida carrying the title for a year against substandard competition, but still looking credible herself. It flies in the face of Britt Baker having that title for a year and becoming a star on her own. It flies in the face of Jade Cargill being undefeated and presented like just a goddamn fucking megastar. I'm sorry, like, this, nothing about this, like, blends, and, like,
it also flies in the face of, like, like Serena Deeb coming out and just being a terror, technical terror at times. Yeah,
Like it's just like, and then like never fucking tell if you even feel like it's not good, right? Like you're sending a fucking babyface out there to like be like, yeah, we know it's not good. Da, 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 da. Never fucking admit that. Like that's all they're doing, throwing red meat to the stopwatch geeks, and enough. Like, and then Sarai made it worse on Twitter. It was just like she doesn't have a clue. She's been in WWE too long. She's been like she's been in that bubble and. It seems like a lost cause. I'll give her another chance, but it seems like she does not get it.
Do you remember when...
Oh, and people got mad at her because she like there were several groups that got mad at her. Your standard AEW fans that are watching this and like the shit that I'm saying, like, yo, none of this shit makes sense. This is stupid. This is a dumbass segment. Right. Then she got the WWE fans mad at her because she said, my boss listens to me now. And then they got at her and then she was deleting tweets. And it was like, you ain't on no side here. And then she chalked it all up to tribalism. It's like, you cut that promo, not us. Like,
right. And it's like, okay. And then, what was I going to say? I don't even remember what I was going to say. Never mind. But yeah, it just not a.
Then she was on commentary after that and was a complete zero after that.
Yeah, she was not good on commentary.
But then Toni Storm and Serena Deeb have a match, and I like the match.
The match was good.
No one was,
and then the finish was outrageous.
Bro, the finish was insane. They're doing pile drivers off the second rope.
And look, at least this time in the AEW match, someone got a second rope pile driver off the ropes, and someone got finished. Remember when MJF and Guevara did that shit? They kicked out, and I was furious.
Tombstone, bro, I love that fucking match. Oh my god,
that match was great, but I was like, that was the finish, and then they kicked out and they didn't top that. So it was like, what are we doing here? And that's happened a couple of times in Guevara matches where like he don't peak at like the hottest thing he got at sometimes.
But like we're saying, it's a very solid match that like would completely get looked over based on like, you know, everything that Saraya did to fly the plane into the earth.
Yeah, and it wasn't
immediately
like,
before that.
And it wasn't even like the as if like the lumberjack thing stunk, because like what got the match more invested was like when Jade and Willow started kind of scrapping like on the floor. That got, and then like I
heard their match was awesome that they did on Rampage.
Yeah, I'm to check it out. I'll watch it tomorrow. But like I didn't like the idea of Jamie was like running from Willow, but like it got the crowd into it.
Yep. But yeah, that's all I have to say about the women's match. I feel like I got it off my chest. After that, the Tony Schiavone interviewed the Acclaim and Billy Gunn's National Scissoring Day next week, so that's going to be
Scissoring Day. Now, am I going to like type into Google what is National Scissors Day and it's actually this fucking week? Is that going to happen? Because you know there's a national blah blah blah
anything
every
day.
Fucking day. Yeah. Like National Bottled Water Day could be like this week for all I know.
Yeah. Keith Lee interrupted, said Billy Gunn's the reason they won the titles. Swerve, then Billy Gunn told Lee to tell Swerve he had 2 words for him: scissor me. And I would imagine Swerve makes his return next week. So they had Butcher and the Blade back there having an argument with Private Party and Andrade and Jose. Jose said Andrade's in charge. They don't like it. Shape up and ship out. Matt Hardy interrupted Private Party, told him to quit, get out of their deal. A lot of meta stuff here.
Who said what to who?
Private Party told, or Matt Hardy told Private Party, if you're unhappy, like quit, get out of your deal. Basically, you know.
Andrade. Okay.
And you know, when we were in the Battle Royal, we hugged it out and we felt that connection, like, you know, and the people kind of went for it too, which was funny.
People like that. People did like that. And like, you know.
So he said he'd be there for it.
I am willing to give them another chance Matt Hardy with Private Party another chance as baby faces, and they can do all their crazy shit opposed to them just being generic heels. I am willing to give them another chance with that because like the crowd actually was behind them in a way that like they hadn't been since like they turned heel really.
Yep, and like a lot of meta shit. Get out of your deal, funny shit like that.
So National Scissoring Day is in fact apparently like in April. But it had that shit been in October, I would have howled. I've been like, these motherfuckers actually like looked around to figure out when National Scissoring Day was for real? Are you kidding me?
That would be light years ahead. Diogo says the whole Agent Vogue segment made no sense in storyline. I don't remember if they had already broken up or not. So like maybe like I don't know.
I don't think they officially broke up.
Gotcha. They had Ricky Starks squash Eli Isom really quick with a spear and a Rochambeau. Excalibur ran down the cards. We had John Silver versus Rush in the main event, or Roosh in the main event for Rampage. Sure, that was good. Acclaim defend the belts against Butcher and Blade and Private Party. Will Nightingale and Jamie Hayter. Hook will appear. Lee Moriarty and Fuego del Sol. Lee looked good in that match. The anniversary show next week, MJF versus Wheeler Yuta. National Scissoring Day. Luchasaurus in action. Darby Allin versus Jay Lethal. The newly added Wardlow defending the TNT title against Brian Cage in an open challenge. Garcia and Danielson against Jericho and Sammy. So that's going to be a fun show to see. It'll
be much better than this show.
So they're in Washington, D.C. next week, which is where AEW began. So on Dynamite, at least. Then
it's the anniversary show, correct? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I would just like them to hurry up and wrap up this investigation because it's been 4 weeks. What the fuck are we doing still?
I don't know how long this shit goes, but what I will say is like, you know, seeing that like Tony Khan owns Ring of Honor, like when is he ever going to conclude like the investigation into Bully Ray bringing that fan backstage? Because that's still ongoing. So it might take longer than you expect.
Man. Then we got the ROH world title match, Chris Jericho versus Bandito, a match made for Rich Latta's heart and soul.
This match was awesome. Okay, so half the time I don't see when you zoom in. When you get closer, I had looked down at my phone and I already know what's going to happen. So go ahead. I'm getting out the way. I'm muting my mic. Go ahead.
I put up a post in February of this year, a clip that you folks may have seen once or twice, where I tell you to never count out Chris Jericho. Did I know 100% that I was going to be vindicated? Yes, I did know that because I never count out Chris Jericho. And the fact that so many of you people, you peons that jump on Twitter and urge this man to lay it down and retire, and you see him showing up month after month, feud after feud, being phenomenal, promo after promo, gimmick after gimmick, pay-per-view after pay-per-view, with one small misstep, I'll admit that. But he immediately got it back on television. What more does he have to prove when he's in there taking Bandito's 21 plex, when he's getting the moonsault suplex off the top rope? Chris fucking Jericho is a legitimate Wrestler of the Year contender. And I could not be happier because Chris Jericho has just passed his 32nd year in the business. Yesterday, I believe. 32 years. There were people, James, that were wondering if Chris Jericho would be able to take all the moves, right, from Bandito. I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure that someone that became a main eventer in CMLL in 1993 would be able to take the moves and do the Lucha Libre. I'm pretty sure that he can do it still, as he just authors feud after feud, and then basically comes up with cool gimmick after cool gimmick to do. He's running through, or he's planning to run through all the former ROH champions. Chris Jericho, bro, who's fucking with him? I don't know. I don't know. This match was awesome. This was like I talked about earlier in the year. I was like, yo, this is like the Jericho that started in 1996, and this is the culmination of it. And here it was, Jericho fighting a Mexican with and basically, you know, doing it the you know, the way he used to fight against Ultimo Dragon and Psychosis and Rey Mysterio Jr. And what is it here? He's wrestling against Bandito. It looks at home. It looks familiar. I don't know when he's going to lay it down. Quite frankly, I don't care. Chris Jericho's given us more than enough. But before he does lay it down, you motherfuckers are going to appreciate Chris Jericho if it's the last thing I accomplish on this damn show. Fuck. Chris fucking Jericho. And Bandito was phenomenal. Sign that man.
Right. And that's why I just take it off mute. Bandito, look, it's one of the worst kept secrets that this dude's fucking awesome. And like, he's awesome in that way that we're like, yes, he does all of, you know, the 21 plex. He does the, well, I forgot what his knee is called, but it's like a variation of a go to sleep that he does. Yes. You know, obviously
rolling suplex.
Like the moonsaults plex or whatever else. Like, he does tons of stuff, right? But like, it's been a terrible secret. It is like, for like the last 4 years, he's been fucking awesome. At different spots, and like, you know, he was in Ring of Honor, and he was having really good matches too, and all that kind of stuff. But it's just like, the dude is so crazy talented, and he's also like one of those dudes. Like, when I think of Cesaro, or I think of Tyler Bate, where just like, regardless of what you feel about what you like out of pro wrestling, there is just a visceral delight of somebody being strong as fuck in pro wrestling. Like, when you are a certain size and you are lifting people or doing feats of strength or whatever else in pro wrestling, it never doesn't fucking work. Have you seen somebody, whether it's Lex Luger, you know,
British Bulldog
doing a military press with Shawn Michaels, Goldberg doing, you know, like the military press, spine buster, like the airplane spin that Bate did to Walter back when Walter was 300 pounds, you know, Cesaro body slamming fucking Big Show at WrestleMania 30 in the first Andre in launch position over the top rope. Hogan Andre with that shitty looking body slam. It always works. Somebody being strong as fuck, completing a feat of strength. It always works. Always. And like, when you have the quote unquote strong man in the ring and they're like as talented as Bandito, it's just a different feeling. And like, Jericho let that dude do all his spots, and what do you know? He got over like crazy. He came in. A lot of people did not know who he was, obviously, because of, obviously, you know, he hasn't had much high profile stuff outside of Ring of Honor in America. Like, but, you know, me and you were, you know, in this
early arrivers.
Yeah, 2019, Washington versus Ospreay at the WrestleCon Memorial Show.
2018, at the first time I saw him, 2018 WrestleMania weekend in New Orleans. That was a show that you missed. It was him and Flamita.
Yep. You told me about this. They were throwing money in the ring, right?
They was throwing money in the ring. That was the first time I ever saw Bandito.
I ended up missing that because I was just so tired. Which saying, let you know how tired I was. I didn't stay up closely to watch
that shit there.
Yeah.
Or it was Ray Phoenix and Ray Horse, I believe, against Bandito and Flamita. And it was like out of this world, 5 stars, like one of the best matches I've ever seen in person. Like, and it's been a long time. Like, and you think about Bandito, and he's as much in this company's DNA as anybody. That man was in the main event of All In. He took the pinfall in the main event of All In.
Right.
So like, he should have been here, and I hope that he ends up there or whatever. But it's like, it was just a phenomenal match from both sides, and it was just like Jericho didn't have to do that. Like, he could have
absolutely not.
Like, completely, like, just, all right, we'll go 10 minutes and get him out of here. Jews effect, fuck them.
Check this out. So you just said 32 years, right? 32 years this biz for Jericho.
Yep.
You know what year it was for Flair at 32?
32 years in the business. That would be like 1994?
No, 2000.
No, excuse me, 2004. Excuse me.
2004. Do you think Ric Flair? Now, keep in mind, Ric Flair was still fucking good in 2004. I'm not, but like, he's not taking the 21 plex on his fucking dome piece on the back of his neck. He's not going to sign up for the moonsaulting, for the whatever Rick Steiner called it off top rope, or Scott Steiner called it, like the moonsault plex thing. Like, he's not going for that. Like, he gave that man a lot for a dude that is in his 50s, a dude that has done a lot of, wild shit throughout the years or whatever else. And like, I think it's just a testament to like the shape that Jericho has got himself into at the end of last year / beginning of this year, when he showed up and him and Hager were like just totally different people transforming their bodies. And like, this is a renaissance, thanks to, obviously, he had a health thing or whatever else, and they told him he had to lose a whole bunch of weight, but like, he just, and like, it looked bad at the end of the last year, where like, it was like he may have been wrapping up, and like, he made a joke about founding youth, but like, this thing has birthed him, a second, I can't say second, that'd be whatever number this would be, like another like great run of him, because he's had, at this point, like half a dozen, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's amazing. And like, Bandito, like with Bandito and Dragon Lee a few weeks ago, and Roosh coming in.
This is the most talented lucha roster since the WCW Cruiserweights. And like, I think there's a higher level here than the Cruiserweights had.
Because they're allowed to do more.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine like what they would have reacted with if like they had told if they had seen some of the stuff that like Phoenix does now, and they'd be like, nah, you can't do that. Nah. Like you only do stuff Ray can do. That's as far as we going. But like, anyway, like, they are just, I love it. I love like adding like these dudes that we know are fucking incredible, but they're working Mexican indies. Because Benito's worked a shit ton of Mexican indies over the years. And like, come on in, let's do your thing. And it's like, it's one thing where like you're in person and you've seen them have these matches. One thing when you like see the gifts, like the crazy shit that like Vikingo does every weekend. But it's another thing where it's like they're actually in the building, and like they're in there with a actual, a legend, and the legend saying, "Go nuts, kid." Like, we hear about that stuff. Like, I remember you telling me about, there was a documentary about, Seth Rollins, about how he had the indie match with, AJ Styles. He was like, that match, like, changed the trajectory of his confidence and all that kind of stuff, that he could be able to get in there with someone at that level and, like, be able to do so many things. And it's like, Bandito's already one of the best wrestlers in the world, but, like, now, who knows what. And like, he's somebody that like has been so under the radar for so long, regardless of how good he is, that it's like, even
like, he's set up to make so much fucking money. Like, bro, like when you think about whatever his contract situation will be, whenever someone starts selling those fucking Bandito masks, the fucking bandit shit, like the fucking hats, like if they ever send him and Hangman Page out there together, like as both, like that shit would go off.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
Like, man, I hope TK gets his name on the dotted line. So yeah.
But I'm happy for him, because like dudes now, like I bet he felt like he's on cloud 20 just like after that one.
Yeah. yeah, so that it was a really cool way to end the show. And I guess that'll end One Nation Radio this week as well. So, yeah, man, make sure you guys are downloading from the One Nation Radio feed. If you can, that helps support the show. We're trying to get those download numbers up. And if you guys want to do it on both feeds, we appreciate that. And that my JYD column that dropped, I think it was last Monday, if I'm not mistaken. That thing is going all around Twitter, up and down. Saw a lot of people showing love on it. If you haven't seen it yet, make sure you check it out on voiceofwrestling.com. It's basically the case for Junkyard Dog going to the Wrestling Observer Newsletter Hall of Fame. Probably one of my most proud things I've ever written. Really wanted to just look at it from, I didn't write it intending to cross every dollar drawn or every, to look at every single record book that he's in charge of. It was just kind of like a historical kind of overview of why he's important and why people may be missing why he's important, and thinking about what do we really value as historical significance. And if it's, after you read it or listen to it, I believe there's an audio version up as well. I played it actually in the beginning of this stream. It is a standalone file on the Social Suplex YouTube page as well. It's like, I don't see how you could read that and then be like, you know what? Nah, or at least be like, I don't see what you're talking about. You can disagree. You can be like, yeah, I still wouldn't vote for him in the Hall of Fame, but I get what you're saying. I feel like the bridge can at least be extended that far, or the branch can be extended that far.
Yeah, and I'll be sure to link to the YouTube video of it in the show notes or description. So, thanks for listening to the show. Be sure to rate us on whatever app you're using to listen to this with. If you are watching the stream, click on the link to the PayPal, to the Cash App. If you are listening from the podcast, go to our show notes or description, and you will find the link to our donations. And be sure to listen to other shows on the network. Besides One Nation Radio, you have Keepin It Strong Style, the Ricky Clive Wrestling Show, Grown Men Watch This Shit, 8-Bit Suplex, the Grave Consequences Podcast, All Things Elite, Great Match Generator, Get in the Ring, Meet the Press Slam, and AEW Match Guide. Thanks for listening, y'all. Later.
R.I.P. to Antonio Inoki.
What's the big deal?
Where can you get pizza, bread twists, specialty chicken, and more for just $5.99 each?
Is it at Domino's?
He hands off hand-tossed pizza and a marble cookie brownie. He's going! There's a lot of variety on the radio and at Domino's too, where you can
Mix and match 2 or more. $5.99 each at Domino's.
2-item minimum. Pan pizza, bone-in wings, and bread bowls will be extra. Ask for this limited time offer. Prices, participation, delivery area, and charges may vary.
Hey, it's me, your Uncle Cooper. Sorry to interrupt your music. I do love music, especially when it's set at a reasonable volume. Music is really only as good as your speakers. The same is true for minivans. A minivan is only as good as the tires it sits on. And the button on the screen there, it agrees with me. If you click on it, it'll bring you to all the Cooper minivan tires that'll make your minivan a really good minivan. Go with the Coopers! Cooper!